across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Happen next. Yeah, so on October 7th, you've seen that a century of history getting compressed by the algorithm in a matter of seconds to be short-form content, to be easily digestible, by targeting youth my age that don't know any of the conflict. And so when it was October 7th, when I scrolled through my social media pages, I saw Palestinian flag after Palestinian flag, and I had originally thought that Palestine got attacked by how many Palestinian flags I was seeing.
Right.
And obviously, when the facts rolled out that it was Israel and that this was a massacre, the narrative was set. Within 13 days at Stanford University in particular, our encampment, ascendant to stop the genocide, was up. And so we were already labeling this a genocide before a week before a single soldier had even crossed into Gaza.
I saw that.
And we already decided how the story would end.
How did that happen? I mean, they're labelling it a genocide even before any attacks have happened.
I mean, they said that, you know, this October 7th wasn't the day that this war has started, that this actually has started during the Nakba, and that this has since then been a genocide against Palestinian people in order for Israel to colonize their land.
But it didn't make sense, did it? When you think about how come, I mean, you've had an epiphany, you went to the Nova Festival screening, didn't
Right.
you? And so you learnt about it, and you sort of, did you speak to your friends who still had your previous view? And you can't really, it's impossible to explain it to them, isn't it? It's almost like their brains are locked from hearing sense.
Well, I mean, again, it's not about logic. You can show them the facts all day, but it's an emotional, response. When we were seeing all of the damage and destruction in Gaza, you would see dead baby, a mother crying crying for a child. You know, this elicits an emotional response that young people are responsive to. The thing is, the issue is that we had selective empathy, that we honed in all of our empathy on the Palestinian people, and we completely disregard what had happened on October 7th.
Why did you, just a matter of interest.
Yes.
So obviously, you're a well-turned-out, intelligent person. Love the cricket jumper, by the way. It's an interesting choice for an American, but nonetheless. No, so on a serious note, you go to a top university.
Yes.
You've got all your opportunities in life. It's all good, and you see things about Palestinians. Why particularly get involved in that cause? What was it about it that so resonated with you at the time?
So I mean, like for me in particular, this was before October 7th. I remember during Black Lives Matter protests, I was an activist, and I would see Palestinian flags at our rallies, and so they were already ingraining and planting their seeds well before this.
See, this was the impression that I got, that effectively young people feel disenfranchised, and I agree with that. I don't think economics is working for young people. I think certainly in this country that there are a lot of problems where people are getting poorer than their parents and all this sort of caper. So I understand all of that, and I totally get the idea where they go, the system is broken. Black Lives Matter comes along, goes, well, this is an obvious explanation that there is some sort of hierarchy that doesn't work for us, and then it feeds into it. But what that would suggest to me is that the majority of people in your position are actually quite well-meaning people who are not there in order to support. I mean, look, they don't love the Ayatollah Khomeini. They don't realise they're being funded by the Muslim Brotherhood, do they?
No, I mean, they don't. Again, we don't want to. Our biggest issue is that we don't want to be Islamophobic, So we don't cross any boundaries or lines when it comes into criticisms of Islam. We have a lot of empathy, and like I said, it's our empathy is getting exploited, and it's so unfortunate that young people, of course, they don't know that they're getting exploited. But again, why I keep telling people they need to go see the Nova Music Festival exhibit, because they can truly understand what had happened on that day.
But it must have been also, it must have been a phenomenally brave thing for you to do, because look, at the end of the day, you're what, African American or whatever you want to call yourself. I don't know the terminology, and you often make mistakes with these things. But I mean, if you're Palestinian, if your support for the Palestinians had grown from the Black Lives Matter movement, and you're on campus, look, going against this is a fairly brave move, isn't it? Because presumably all your mates are going to say, and I'm not putting words into their mouths, look, now you're against the Palestinian cause, or rather you have a more balanced view, you're against the Black Lives Matter cause, ergo you're in favour of slave ownership. Or what, I can see how that, I mean, it's a weird logic, but I can see how they would think that.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost every single friend that I had. And so my best friend of 3 years, after I had visited Israel myself just purely for knowledge sake.
But that tells you a lot, doesn't it? I mean, and also what Andrea was saying about the Iran thing and everything, didn't you ask yourself, why aren't they, you know, against the Ayatollah killing 50,000 people in 3 days? And do they realise they're on the wrong side?
Well, I mean, they don't know and recognize the 30,000 protesters that were murdered. They believe that is CIA propaganda, that it was the Mossad, and like they say that this is fake.
Do you think they have sort of a mental disorder to believe? These are clever people at top universities, but they believe ridiculous things. Do they have something, you know, a narcissist, some disorder in them to believe this is a claptrap? Really?
No, this is human. Unfortunately.
But it seems to be happening at the top universities and top institutions rather than at the ground level.
I'll tell you what we're driving at. Obviously, being American, you've not seen or heard our show before. Nothing wrong with that. But
we're watched in America. Howdy, partner.
But we have a theory, Asher and I, which may or may not be right, that social media...
The Gould Walker theory.
So social media has put a lot of mental health pressure on young people, and actually they are in a sense suffering from low-level mental health problems. I'll give you an example. If you believe the reason you're not succeeding in life is that there is a secret hierarchy working against you, then that sounds very much like the sort of thing you'll hear in an average mental institution. If you believe that somebody talking on campus is embedding hidden messages in order to abuse you, that is once again a classic symbol of mental health. And also, when you go on the conspiracy theory, I mean, I always found it extraordinary with September the 11th. Osama bin Laden comes on the TV and goes, "I blew up the World Trade Center," and somebody goes, "It must have been George Bush." And you think, well,
is it something to do with, because they're obviously very intelligent people, it seems to be more prevalent, and something that happens with maybe genius or being clever also has bad effects on reality in some ways? Do you get?
Well, I mean, I think that these universities are selecting students that have always been outspoken their whole lives, and so they never had to critically think or even challenge their beliefs. And so I do agree that there's a precondition of loneliness that draws people to these movements, that gives them a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, and so they need a community. And when you question and you ask questions or even try to bring in nuance, you get immediately exiled. And that's like exactly what I face.
So they've sort of found a home, a family that they haven't had elsewhere, and they don't want to lose it, so they keep it with the narrative.
Exactly.
That's why you're brave for leaving it.
I think it's precisely, actually, it's precisely, there's a book out, I forget the name of it, which says that the English Civil War and the American War of Independence are the same war, effectively, just fought in different places. And effectively, the United States of America is founded because in Britain and indeed across Europe, there is a priestly class who say, we know the facts, and you must simply worship whatever it is that we say. Now, whilst we are in a kind of post-religious period, certainly in Britain, you do see this where you go, look, people say the facts are settled on these things.
Right.
You have to believe.
It's the unaccountable expert class.
You have to accept what I say completely, or you are a heretic who should not be dealt with by anyone. Yeah. And you do see that in Britain.
And it comes from universities where they're saying used to be in the 50s, people who ran businesses were the owners, and then it went to this expert thing, in America, and then it came over here, and now it's experts run companies and run governments, and they say to the people who actually are probably
this is
quite
too
good
important
at it,
for democracy.
Yeah, so leave it to us experts who've just been to university and actually don't really, they're ideologues.
Yes, and I mean, I think like we had Faculty for Justice in Palestine. It wasn't just SJP. So we have to understand that our faculty members are consistently stroking our egos, saying that there's no nuance. This is what you are right, and everyone else is wrong. And so, I mean, yeah.
It's like a cult in a way.
I completely agree. I think that there is a lot of cultist behavior.
It's a sad thing. It's a sad thing, though, isn't it? Because whatever criticism you have of, if you like, the West, led by the United States of America, whatever criticism you have, there is at least an attempt to ensure that people have a free exchange of ideas. Now, we don't always get that right, but there is an attempt. It is amazing to me to see young people at university in Hong Kong being put in prison for simply saying there should be an open political debate. In the University of Tehran, people taking off burqas get lashed in the street.
Yeah.
And they've executed, 40,000 young people, largely by hanging them off cranes. Yeah. And then you get somebody who goes to Stanford University going, wouldn't it be great if America was more like that? And you think, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I mean, our generation spits on the shield because we never had to feel the blade of a sword, right? And so I think that unfortunately, like at a Stanford University protest, we had broken into our president's office and caused over $700,000 in damages.
Whoa.
12 students received felonies, and they spray painted things such as "Death to Israel," "Death to America," "Kill cops," and none of that have to do with the Palestinian liberation.
No.
And so it's just, we've completely made this movement forgetting we lost sight of the Palestinians. We made it about ourselves.
Yes.
We made it
Now
about our
just your own
righteousness.
thing. I mean, has it affected? Did you have to leave early or anything?
Yes, so I'm in my 4th year, and I had to leave Stanford University after I got doxxed. And
Yeah, so
harassed.
everyone was. You couldn't go there anyway.
And how-
And what about Jewish students? They wouldn't want to obviously be there, would they?
Yeah, no, I mean, Jewish students aren't
Just a matter of interest on the doxing. By the way, I didn't know what this was. This is publishing the details of somebody online, effectively to encourage people to attack them. How dangerous is that? Was that for you?
I mean, I received death threats, but I wasn't going to stand and find out, if it was
She
credible.
got
or
out
not.
of Dodge.
Yeah.
But also, we have a different system of universities in this country. You or your family, or a mixture of both, are paying a crippling amount to go to Stanford University. I mean, we're talking about what the annual fees, like 40,000 a year or something crazy like that. Yeah. I mean, to not have a proper university experience when that amount of money is being spent is really unacceptable.
I mean, yeah, truly. I mean, I think that a lot of these students, because they're coming from very rich backgrounds, it's easy to call for war and violence from the comfort of your home, and you're able to just like tweet about it rather than actually experience what it's like to lose your loved one. So a lot of us are coming from these silver spoons.
I'll tell you what I find extraordinary. Was the statue pulling down. Now, we've got Sir Thomas Guy of Guy's Hospital behind us. He wasn't a slave owner, but they've become obsessed with him being a slave owner. And what amazes me is this, and it seemed to me, and I don't think this is the way that young people think, but I think there is a remarkable narcissism in it. I think if you are filming pulling down a statue on a phone made by a 9-year-old in China, then I would suggest to you you've got your priorities wrong. I would strongly suggest to you you've got your priorities wrong. But I think it's just so much easier to call Thomas Guy a racist, call Thomas Guy a slave owner and throw paint at the statue than it is to really address the issues of 2.5 Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps in China. Because that is hard. Whereas actually it's very easy for me to go, oh, I'm a virtuous person, look at me, here's my selfie with Robert Lee's statue.
It's just a celebration.
Right, no, I mean, I think it's more so about the symbolism. We want to look and appear like activists and revolutionaries.
Narcissism.
Exactly, we call ourselves those things, but will we actually
You like
fight
freedom
for
fights,
peace?
students have the Che Guevara picture, who was a nasty git anyway, wasn't he? So this has always gone on.
We've got Taryn after the break, so why don't we go to it?
That's a very good idea. Let's do that.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, we're still here with Taryn Thomas, who, do you know what, I've got so much respect for, and I'll tell you why. Because I think that I always say that on my Twitter, it says views expressed here aren't even my own. And the reason I say that is because I think we're so obsessed with always being right. It's really nice and refreshing when somebody comes on and goes, do you know what? I learnt a little bit and discovered that I was wrong before. Nothing wrong with being wrong. I think where you become a problem is when you refuse to think about anyone else's point of view. Anyway, Taryn was inspired by the Nova Festival exhibition. I'll tell you what we're going to do. You, me, and Asha understand all about the Nova Festival and the exhibition, but just because there are people who are watching this and listening to this are going to want to come, why don't you explain? Because you're not on holiday here. You're here to advocate for the exhibition.
And it's over here in Shoreditch at the moment.
Tell us what. So first of all, what was the Nova Festival? Why is it important, and what's the exhibition?
Yeah, so on October 7th, the Nova, there was a music festival near the border that had gotten attacked by Hamas.
And this was on the Israeli side of the border. Yes.
Yes.
It was stumbled on by accident, wasn't it? And they flew over in those sort of microglider things.
Yes, and around like 400 people were murdered from the festival. But the thing is, it's kids my age that had just went to a music festival like anyone else would, and this wasn't political, you know,
no.
And so this has nothing to do with about being like
and
pro-Israel
also the massacre was far worse because, and I'll say this politely because I don't want to smear the dead, but they were kind of drunk, weren't they? Right. So obviously
it's on screen now. I mean, they were just kids having a rave in the desert.
Obviously, at that time in the morning, if you've been up all night at a festival, you're not going to be able to take action needed to protect yourself if there's some sort of attack. So there was widespread confusion, widespread panic, and how many people died? It was in the hundreds, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was around 400 people.
400
and quite a few kidnapped.
Yeah, around 40 kidnapped.
Yeah. So then this exhibition is what, and when did you come across it?
And so this exhibition is a recreation of the Nova Music site, and again, it pays homage towards all the hostages and those that were killed and brutally raped and assaulted on that day. And so this exhibition is it shows the last I love you messages, the last goodbye messages. And so I had originally went in LA in 2024 of October, and I had thought that by going I would be reaffirming myself in my pro-Palestine beliefs. I wanted to find Zionist propaganda that I've been warned about.
Do you think you were looking for something niggling in your mind?
Exactly. Because I've heard about it, I've never seen it.
But what's interesting about the way you describe this, and you're an articulate person, so this is not me being critical of you.
Absolutely.
I think that you have struggled to be able to lay out in words the emotion that you felt when you saw the exhibition.
Yeah.
Is that fair comment?
Yeah, I mean, like
words probably can't describe what you.
Because I mean, we reduce these people's lives into like political symbols, and so whenever I do hear about their stories and hear their names, I just feel so much shame.
Because it's a social media genocide, isn't it? It was all made for TV. Now, admittedly, that TV is social media, but basically, I mean, I went to a kibbutz where they found a photo of a family next to a basketball hoop and recreated the photo with the corpses, and then uploaded it to their own Facebook so their family could see it, the before and after.
What was the most shocking? Because for me, what was most shocking was when those soldiers came to the festival after they'd all gone, and suddenly they go, oh my God, and there was just bodies everywhere. Yeah. What did you find was the most shocking?
The most shocking was to see this audio recording of a terrorist who had called his dad off of a murdered woman's phone and said that he had killed 10 Jews with his own hands, and he was celebrating.
And his parents would go, get mum. He was going, get mum, tell mum. Get,
exactly. You know. And I thought I was going to hear horror, and instead I hear his dad congratulating him. Yeah. And the thing is, it's just, this was our martyr. This was who we were calling the resistance. And so I didn't, like, him saying that's 10 Jews in particular, there's nothing about land back or anything like that. And so
they just want to kill the Jews. But the thing is, that guy, I don't know, I think that guy, most of the killings after weren't actually done by Hamas. They were just the Gazan population who came in after. Exactly. Some of them had worked at the kibbutzes, so they knew what to rob and who to kill, you know what I mean? And they went and did a lot of the killing.
It was a sad thing in the kibbutz that I went to, where what had happened was the people that had worked in the kibbutz from Gaza had made the plans of the... Now, by the way, not everybody did this, so let's just be clear. In fairness, a lot of Gazans who did work with Jewish people were not involved. But, you know, hang on, we've only killed 4 in this house, and we know there's 6 of them, you know, and things like that, which I think is pretty shocking.
And the people, they killed everyone. They killed their own Muslim brothers who were there. They killed, you know, Thailand workers.
So I think people are going to want to come to this. So let's go through these key facts. So, okay, so you're already open. You opened on Wednesday in London. And that's in Shoreditch. Yes. Now, basically, you just go to Nova Exhibition, which is spelt in the usual way, .com. Tickets are from £18. So it's running from Tuesday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Obviously, last entry is a little bit earlier than that. They're closed on Bank Holiday Monday. Lazy. No, I'm joking.
Age guidance, obviously, very serious stuff.
Yeah, they think it's inappropriate for under 16s.
No, under 16s with an adult, but obviously you know your own kids, so...
Yeah.
Is there a mock-up of the festival, and, you know, is there a mock-up of it?
What can we expect?
I'm so sorry.
What can we expect? What are we going to see?
I mean, you're going to see like their faces and their stories, and like there are also testimonies by the survivors that are held. So I really highly encourage you guys to see that for yourselves. Yeah.
And it's amazing that it's so inspired you. I mean, I just wonder, what would your message be to your erstwhile colleagues who, you know, are good people who wanted to do the right thing in the same way that you wanted to do the right thing, but have not had the opportunity to have their eyes open? Because, by the way, I'm assuming that you are still vehemently against, vehemently in favour of anyone from the IDF who behaves badly in Gaza being prosecuted in the usual way. You're strongly of the view that there should be no, violence or murder against Palestinian people. I assume you believe that. What would be the message to your former friends?
I mean, I would say that the easiest thing is to be so convicted when there's so much uncertainty in this thing. And so if you're saying that you're certain and you know something, you truly don't. And so to go listen to the firsthand accounts, go listen to their stories, memorize their faces, know their names, and just have intellectual humility when you're approaching something like this.
Do you think they'd refuse to go along if you ask your friends because they know that? Because a lot of people, they won't listen. They go like this, don't they, when you talk, and they just repeat, they're like, is it genocide? You say, well, there's only this many innocent people, but it's you know what I mean? So they don't want to see it, so they wouldn't.
Because it's about the stories. Forget the narrative.
But they wouldn't want to see that because they know it would cause a problem with their narrative.
But one would assume you continue to think of yourself as an activist for peace.
Absolutely.
And you've not ceased to be. I mean, this whole idea that she used to oppose the genocide, but now she supports it. I mean, I think of everything that you've said is that you have looked and the fact that people die in Gaza. I mean, any invasion is going to cause people to die is a tragedy, and you continue to take that view. But you continue also, but in addition to that, you are now realistic about the behaviour of countries like Iran. I mean, what upset me most of all, whatever you think about Donald Trump, the Abraham Accords were one of the greatest steps forward towards peace in the Middle East. It needed the American president to be, forgive the language, a bit of a shit in order to get there. Saudi Arabia were going to sign the Abraham Accords, and Hamas panicked and beheaded people in Israel to stop peace. I mean, that is a sad fact.
It is. And I mean, I think that if you are truly pro-Palestine, you would be pro-peace.
Yes.
And by any means. And so supporting the violence and asking and condoning it from Hamas and acting and infantilizing them, no, truly, I think the most pro-Palestine people are the Israelis. They want Palestine to thrive and self-govern themselves without Hamas. So, yeah. Yeah,
and I've got to say to you, I personally, genuinely believe that what Taryn said there was absolutely right, which is this. There are serious people trying to help the Palestinian people, and I'm afraid Hamas people paying for prostitutes in hotels in Qatar whilst directing young people to run into machine gun fire, I'm afraid are not serious people. They're just crooks.
But what do you think about them still running Gaza, Hamas?
I mean, I truly hope that it can be eliminated. Yeah.
So what will you do during this visit? You're just going to go. Are you at the festival every day? You're going around talking to the media? Because once again, you're not on holiday.
Sightseeing?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm here in support and advocacy, and of course going on different things like this, so I can spread the word and that everyone has to see this exhibit for themselves.
Have you asked? I mean, you probably get refused to go to any universities and speak.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And what do they say?
I mean, like they'll welcome me, but you know, it's unfortunate that it's only Jews that are coming to see me speak, and I need to see everyone, non-Jews especially, need to come speak up against anti-Semitism.
Well, I think we're hoping, we're really hoping. I mean, this is before you come into the UK, but we're hoping that after the incident at the University of Sussex, where students were very badly bullied for trying to have a political society, we're hoping, fingers crossed, this September when term starts, people are able to have, now whether it's a Labour club, Conservative club, Reform, Restore, Jewish society, whatever it is, I think we're going to do better at allowing free speech on campus. But it has to be said, you know, the paint throwers have done significant damage, unfortunately. Okay, look, let's go to break. But Taryn, I want to thank you. And you know,
it's fantastic.
I cannot say enough times that we have this show because we want to excite political debate and give people an opportunity to air their views, change their views, and make decisions. And to see somebody who has flown an ocean to stand up and
worn
say,
a cricket top.
Yeah, who's flown an ocean,
really blending in.
Who's flown an ocean in order to say, look, you know, I think I'm a good person, but I was wrong about this particular issue. I've educated myself, and now I'm going to try and help educate other people. I genuinely think you deserve a medal. Unfortunately, being an American citizen, we can't give you a medal. But
we can shake your hand and say, jolly good show.
Think of this thanks as a conduit for a medal.
But there needs to be more students with, you know, their own minds, don't there? That's at the end of the day what needs to happen. We need to get. It's meant to be a bastion of free speech. Universities. This is where it's all meant to happen.
Oh, there is one final question. When you finally graduate, what do you intend to do?
I want to pursue medicine, but I mean, I think this is my passion now. I think we're heading down a slippery slope. So
I've heard there's a few doctors in Israel. So.
It's such hard work, though. You know, we really learn a lot. You know, just stick with this. It's better. You know.
Yeah, it's easier. It's easy. You get more famous as well. Asher?
Yeah. So anyway, after the break, I've just got to have a look at this. We're going to be talking about that Britain hasn't got enough. Has only got enough drones for a week of war. That's one of the things. So we can have war for a week, but then it's curtains. But anyway, let's remind you of the exhibition. It's the Nova. It's the Nova exhibition, London, Tuesday to Thursday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. because it's Shabbos. Closed on Mondays except for bank holiday when it will be open. It's 30 Curtain Road, London, EC2A. So that's
wow, 600,000 people have seen it so far.
Yeah. So and you could add to that. Go and have a look because it shows you what really happens. And yeah, if you go with under 16s, make sure you're with they're with an adult. 0344 499 1000. Thanks, Taryn.
Thank you so much.
It's Talk with Andre and Ash. Back in 2 minutes.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. We liked her, didn't we?
Yeah, she was great. She was fantastic, and you know we need more people like her coming out in universities.
Asher, no, anyway. Okay, right. What have we got next? We have got a segment now on. Hang on. What?
It's after the break.
Oh, it's after the break. The interview. Well, in that.
Ask Ash after midnight. By the way, you got
Hang on,
any
we've
problems?
not got our UFO people.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, no, I saw Matt, you know, the one who doesn't talk much. I saw him at the station, and I said, are you not coming? He goes, well, Joe's not here. I said, well, that's not good enough. And he said he might be here, but he was going to his mate Quentin's, and you never know what can happen once he comes back all bleary-eyed.
Yeah, it's fair to say that he gets drunk at his friend's Quentin's.
So, you know, we'll see. But there will be Ask Ash. I think that'll be after midnight. Any questions about love, you know, DIY questions, everything, really. I can answer anything. I mean, it would be it might be rubbish.
I'm sorry on here, by the way. Can't go into it. Rather a mysterious story behind it.
What, Joe?
What, Joe's, he knew too much.
Well, he does know a lot, man.
I've got to say to you, Asher, I just want to ask you as a Jewish person now, and I know you're not here to be quote unquote the Jew. You're
just how it is.
But what does it make you feel like when you see somebody like that? She's gone to university. You know, she's clearly clever. You know, she's well turned out. You know, I mean, it's clear that like she didn't go to a crap school in the hood, right? But she goes along and decides, right, I'm going to be at this Palestine encampment in Sanford.
Yeah.
Then let's go to the Nova Festival exhibition to work out what the Zionist propaganda is. And when she goes there, she's so moved that she then flies an ocean to come and support it. It's got to give you.
But isn't that unusual that she went there in the first place? So something was, because the others wouldn't have done that.
Well, it's an interesting point you make, actually, because I just wonder what percentage of people who've been to a Palestine encampment and then gone to the Nova Festival exhibition have changed their mind. It might be 100% because it's only her.
No, they're wrong. You know, it's like this is the thing they're doing, and you know, they're just weak and they don't want to leave the fold. It's a bit like in the workplace. It's like, you know, people get sacked for saying talking about trans issues, saying that a man can't go in a woman's you know, toilets and stuff like that.
But I think there's another thing that she said which I think is really interesting.
I mean, she got kicked out. She had to leave. So you have to be brave and take what happens, you know what I mean?
I think the other thing that she said, which I think was really telling, and I think it's been a major problem, not just for Israel, but for the West in general, with this sort of what I would call anecdotal evidence. So what anecdotal evidence is this? Citing one small example in order to prove a bigger point, which is this. So you go, look, here's a dead baby in Gaza. Now, first of all, that probably is a dead baby. I don't have any reason for disputing it. And it may well be that it was killed by an Israeli bomb. But that in of itself doesn't mean that there is a more general genocide. Do you see my point? What's happening, it seems to me, amongst these young people, is that Hamas are succeeding in the following respect: by putting their weapons into schools, by putting their weapons into hospitals, and by deliberately using their own children as human shields. They are generating.
Well, they also kill. I mean, those missiles they made were made sort of homemade, and a lot of them, about 20% misfired and just landed on them. Also, they've undermined all the houses, so when a bomb does land, loads of houses come down, they booby trap them, and they're hitting weapons depots which go boom. And I mean, this is all down to Hamas putting everyone in danger. And the other thing they say, loads of children have been killed. The amount of innocent, it's come out 55,000 of this, something 80,000 were Hamas terrorists. And they go, what about the children? Well, in Hamas, if you're over 14, you're a Hamas terrorist. You know, you have to. So what do you do? A 14-year-old with a Kalashnikov coming out? You know, you can't send him on some trip. And
But in a sense, my point's kind of the opposite. I guess the point that I'm making is that the fact that they have got footage of dead babies, even if that doesn't actually prove...
Doesn't mean it shows they're a bit silly for just looking at anyone's, you know, weak in the Second World War. It's terrible.
But the point is it's working. right? So she's not an idiot, right, or a bad person.
That's because they're playing in a stacked deck. They want to believe that side. You know, they don't really care. They don't care about Iranians, the people in Sudan being murdered. They don't really care. They're a stacked deck. They want to just be anti-Israel, so they're going to be blinkered and make sure they don't take in any information.
I just wonder, sitting here as a media professional, wondering what you do to mitigate that, because if you say, right, in Gaza, they throw gay people off buildings, they've killed all the independent media, and in the election, the reason Hamas won was because they shot all their opponents, which, believe me, having been in politics, it's very easy to win an election when all your opponents are dead, right? But none of that gets into the zeitgeist of Western young people. What gets into the zeitgeist is one home, which, by the way, Asher is quite right, may well have collapsed as a result of Hamas, and is almost as likely to have collapsed as a result of Hamas as it is the IDF. If there is
it's all down to Hamas at the end of the day.
If there is a dispossessed family, if there is an injured or dead child, if there is a building in pieces, what that is giving them is the ability to edit it all together and create a narrative. And I just don't know how we deal with that. But it is interesting to go back to the original point, Asher. It is interesting that when she goes along to the Nova exhibition, actually, you know, that seeing civilians suffering from the other side does change her opinion.
Well, yeah, because it's a load of bull, really. I mean, you see online, you look at Pallywood and they'll show them, like, making kids look like they've been blown up, and then you see them walking away and it's all...
Is that a website?
Yeah, there's hashtag Pallywood. It'll show you all of it. Another thing, when they were saying there's a famine, all the shops and the takeaways were still open. I mean, I've never known a place that has a famine and you can order a takeaway or go down a supermarket that's full of stuff, fruit and veg, more than anything in this country. I mean, they're overflowing with it, and obviously Hamas were taking the fruit. So it was all a load of bull. And all the institutions, the UN, were going along with it. You know, this many kids are going to die within 48 hours. Oh, yeah, everyone leapt on the BBC. Jeremy Bowen uttering utter BS. And then when he's proven wrong, going, well, I'm not apologising, because these are all ideologues.
But to go even further, Asher, and you've hinted at it, the reality is, what was the problem with food distribution in Gaza? That Hamas wanted the aid to be given to them so they could sell it to the population.
The UN were with Hamas.
They did not.
Make no mistake about that.
The reason, and Asher's quite right, the reason there's a takeaway, the reason there's a shop, you can buy the aid, you just can't get it for free. So what happens is, you and me donate money, which then is used to buy aid which goes to Gaza. Right, now, it is not distributed. It's supposed to say, gift from the United Kingdom, here it is for free. What actually happens is, a Hamas warlord takes it at the border and begins selling it for inflated prices. And so, effectively, what this famine then becomes is this. We will allow our people to starve to death, because we want to sell all of it. And obviously, people who are dispossessed and got no money can't afford to go to the takeaway. But the food in the takeaway is stuff donated by Britain and France and Germany and Spain and America for free. It's just,
I mean, and just anecdotally, you know, Hamas was selling a litre and a half bottle of water for 20, I think it was shekels. I don't know, it might have been $20, either one. IDF were giving them out for free. Anyway, we've got to take a little breaky because the doctor's here to see us. Dr. Sanjeev Nichani, OBE, Senior Consultant Paediatrician at Leicester's Children's Hospital and author of Movement in Medicine, who's talking about the dangers of putting people's images on school websites and other things, stories. Anyway, it's talk 0344 499 1000. You want to talk about anything we've been talking about or something else? It's me and Andre JP Walker at Virtual Ash on Twitter. We'll be back in 2 minutes with the doctor.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, we're going to return to a subject that Asher and I have talked about on a few occasions. It's this crazy situation where child sex offenders and others are using innocent family photos and innocent photos on school websites to create all sorts of nasty material. It's a criminal offence to do it, even if it's fake, but nonetheless, there is a market in this sort of stuff. We have our view, which is that actually it's not for parents to not take photos of the kids. It's not for schools not to have photos on their websites. It's for the authorities to crack down on the people who make the illegal images and indeed trade them. But anyway, Dr. Sanjeev Nichani OBE is a senior consultant paediatrician at Leicester Children's Hospital, and he is author of Movement is Medicine. You're very concerned about this subject, but I think we probably should start at the beginning, because most of us, this is not our world. We don't understand anything about it. So why don't you just really, for simplicity's purposes, clarify to us exactly what is taking place and what's your concern about it?
We are sadly submerged in what I call the screendemic. The screendemic is the epidemic of mental health illness in children and young people, as well as early developmental language problems due to excessive device screen time and social media use. We are in the middle of a societal crisis, and we've been asleep whilst this has gone on. But more specifically, the government has been asleep whilst this has gone on.
So, okay, let me just stop you there, because, I mean, I don't know if you're watching earlier, but we were having a very interesting conversation with Taryn Thomas about the way that it seems to me young people at university are showing signs of low-level mental health. If you believe in the in you know this secret cult of white men ruining your life, then that feels very mental health problemy. If you believe that people are coming onto your campus to embed subliminal messages that people should kill you, then that feels very mental healthy as well. And similarly, the idea of sort of the tribalism and cultism and the narcissism that we see, are the reason that a lot of young people behave in the way they behave because of low-level mental health problems?
These are significantly contributed to by the malevolent virtual world that they are constantly exposed to.
Right.
I think to explain this, we have to understand how the brain develops.
Right.
The first part of the brain that develops in early childhood and adolescence really well is the emotional reward system in the brain.
Is that the frontal lobe?
No, the one just below the frontal lobe, and I'll explain the frontal lobe.
I knew it was nearby, yeah.
You're very close, but not quite. So
cigar.
It's called the reward system of the brain, and that is part of evolution, which allows us to stay alive, literally make a survive.
This is the dopamine system sort of thing, yeah?
So yes, dopamine is part of this whole equation. The frontal lobe that you're talking about matures later. So the emotional circuitry succumbs to the toxic addictive algorithm releasing dopamine
Too much.
Constant,
and
not allowing the prefrontal cortex, which regulates how we all behave to work properly.
And the thing is, we've got addicted to it, and now I've noticed it used to be good when I was a kid. On a Sunday, everything was shut, and you got bored, and it made things that were exciting, and now kids and people are bored because they're all at a level of dopamine that they've got. It's a bit like it's a drug, basically, and they're now stuck at a level.
You're absolutely spot on. In fact, very sensitive MRI scans are showing changes in the brain which are similar to other addictions. Drug addiction, gambling addiction, etc. So this is a major societal problem. And this is what's causing all the myriad effects that you have just described.
So, Doctor, I grew up in what might be considered a fairly old-fashioned... well, it was an Irish Catholic family, but a fairly old-fashioned upbringing in the following respect, that my mum was an accountant, but she gave up work to bring up her children. God, those were the days, eh? And when I came home from school, we used to have dinner with my mum every single night, and we would have a conversation over dinner every single night. Now, I think what people would say about that is that my ability to communicate probably still feeds through from that period, because you can't sit and have dinner with somebody, have dinner together and have a conversation every night for 18 years and fail to have a good dinner conversation. But that world has gone now, hasn't it? And it seems to me that it's replaced with TikTok videos of, and from what I can see, just a moron dancing in his underpants.
A lot of garbage on TikTok. I mean, I'm really disappointed our government is not taking as strong a stance. And what you've described is that actually what I experienced. And in addition, when I grew up, I spent most of my time after school playing games.
Outside with your mates.
Outside, that's right.
Yeah.
And we all grew up in a play-based childhood. Currently, children are tragically growing up in a phone and a technology-based childhood, which is most unhealthy.
And it's affecting their physical development. I read an article that said, you know, kids that were born in 2000, they were affected by this specific app, and they can see differences in their frontal lobe development from not going out, and it's actually changing the physiology of the brain. This stuff.
But if you think about it, I mean, the brain physiology thing is so recent. It seems to me that if we went back 10,000 years, right? Well, maybe not. Maybe go back 2,000 years
MySpace
to the time of Christ, right? Presumably, the kid next door knocking on your front door, going, "Is Sanjeev playing out?" Probably is what they did in the time of Jesus, in the time of Moses, in the time of all these people, and so. The fact that child, so we have had a similar childhood, not to our parents and our grandparents, but to our ancestors going back
millennia.
5,000 years. Suddenly we have
evolved for it.
Suddenly we have a generation of children who are doing something completely different, as per what Asher just said. How worried should we be?
We should be terrified, because I'm terrified. As a pediatrician, given what I see each and every day in my clinic, I'm completely and utterly terrified for our children and their future. And this is not a cliche. This is not a dramatic.
What is it? Just to be clear, Sanjeev, what is it that you're seeing that worries you so much?
So lots of things. Starting from early childhood, their language and communication is poor because they're spending hours and hours in front of these flashing images on devices. They're not hearing vocabulary from parents, grandparents, siblings, friends, etc., from the environment. They're having emotional dysregulation, having temper tantrums when you take a device away from them. Going to older...
Like an addict.
Yeah, well, that's right. Absolutely like an adult.
Like an addict.
Addict, sorry, yes, like an addict, yes. Yeah. Indeed. Going to older children, teenagers, they have inattention, impulsivity, poor sleep, hyperactivity, and reduction in academic performance. This is actually affecting the whole world now. That is why I'm terrified.
But if you look at, I think it's called, is it called an SAT in the United States of America? When we did a comprehension examination, what it would have is probably say 300, 500 words, depending on the age of the child, and you would have to write out what it means. And I remember my mum saying, all you have to do is repeat back what it says, right, which is the purpose of the exercise. It's interesting now in the United States of America that examinations in comprehension are asking children to critically analyse 2 sentences. And the reason that the grades are remaining at the same level is not because the attainment is as good, it's because the exam has been fitted to people who are used to reading Twitter. And that concerns me.
Absolutely spot on. That is called attention fragmentation. These children are not able to maintain their attention for more than 10 or 15 minutes without the fear of missing out, FOMO, and wanting to check their phones. That is what research is telling us. During the exams, they're constantly checking their phones. Attention fragmentation and cognitive impairments.
So should it be banned? I mean, you know, like Australia, they've banned social media. Should kids be banned from going online before they're 16, like smoking, or 18?
Absolutely no question about it. There is no reason to allow children under 16 to have these awful smartphones and these toxic, poisonous social media apps.
I'll tell you what we're going to have to do. Sanjeev, listen, this is one of the best segments. We've come nowhere near talking about all the issues, because there are issues of bullying, harassment, fake images, all of that sort of stuff we could talk to you about. I think what we should try and do is get you back next week. We'll have a bigger segment and have a longer chat about all of these issues if you're available. And our producers can perhaps have a look at that, because there are so many other things we wanted to discuss with you, and we've come nowhere near it. But it has to be said, Ashley, your theory, it sounds like...
It sounds like I was bang on all along, but you've explained it perfectly. But we'll get you on again. That was fascinating, because there's so much more, as Andre says,
we've
to
come nowhere
talk
near
about.
asking him everything.
We've actually we've learnt less than when we started, so we've got to bring him back again. That's Dr. Yeah. So that was, thanks, Doctor. So I feel much better after visiting the doctor. That was Dr. Sanjeev
I'd have got my Gouty foot out if he'd fantastic.
Yeah, well, we'll do that next week. He's got an OBE as well, so that's good, isn't it? You know, an OBE, you've got to be good. Anyway, join us. We're going to be talking to Kieran Galpin, journalist, about everything that's going on 03444 499 1000, and ask Ash later on. Ask me anything.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, this is the press preview. We've got Kieran Galpin in. How are you, big boy?
Good evening. I'm
You're
very
looking
well,
beautiful.
thank you. That's very kind of you.
You're
Very
not.
kind of you.
But we just, I just
I've
like
enjoyed the sun
It
today.
looked quite
I'm
rugged,
getting,
like a bit
rugged.
Clark Kenty, like you could take your glasses off and you'd be Superman underneath it. Oh yeah, look, he is, look. Incredible.
That was disappointing at best. If I'm, being
I'm not
honest.
Superman. I
You would say that, wouldn't you, if you were?
So listen, before we start the press preview,
Yeah.
what's been the biggest story of the week for you?
Whoa. UFO sightings today.
Okay, go on.
What? There's more information coming out. isn't there?
Yeah, they had a second
Oh, we should have got
release
Matt. We should have got Matt
Well, he
Thornton.
said he might. I saw him at the station. He might.
No, we should have
pop
got
in
Matt
later.
Thornton in to sit next to you and say nothing.
Yeah.
That's what he's been doing.
He said he might. Mystery house. So what's the latest?
And by the way, just to
go
be
on.
clear, do you know why he does that on the Friday?
What?
So he gets a lift home with me in my chauffeur-driven car. That's the reason. All he does, the lazy git, is just sits there, says not any thoughts. And I wouldn't mind, because Joe Stock is big and he is small.
Yeah.
It looks like perspective.
It looks like
they've got
a spitting image, David Owen and David Seal, but he does have this glazed over look. But anyway, what is it's not UFOs now, it's UAP, isn't it? They changed the branding.
Yeah, well, the Trump administration has released these new UFO files. This intelligence officer said that he saw green orbs flying through the sky and splitting off from each other. So, yeah, that was the exciting news of today. But apart from that,
what green? I mean, that's these days we're so used to it. You just go, oh, green orbs. You know what I mean? It's getting a bit every day.
The thing is,
I think that's what they're doing. They're trying to get us bored of aliens.
The way our brain works. I mean, you must have done this before, where you've gone, oh my God, I've just walked past my cousin. And then you go, actually, it's not. It's just someone who looks like them. But in your brain, they connect together, right? There's all sorts of
facial recognition.
There's all sorts of circumstances in which you haven't seen something. Where, so as an example, in the dark, right? You know, your brain will do its best to explain what it's seeing. Now, if it can't see anything, that's fine. But quite often, it can see small amounts of light.
It's like when you look in the clouds, your brain will make faces.
That's right.
And it's because you have a face part of your brain, so you can remember everyone. And there's actually been brain damaged people. Everything's all right, but they will forget their partner. You know, they can't remember.
Yeah, there are some people.
It's like,
but there are some people who work for the police who are these called super recognisers. Have you heard of these guys?
Oh, yeah.
I did the test, the Scotland Yard test, and I was officially. They wanted me to go forward with other tests.
Really?
Yeah, and you have to recognise people from the
From
back
walking
and the back. You know what I mean, and stuff. And
it's something like 1 in 1,000 people have it.
Yeah, well, I got 11 out of the 14. They said, yeah, we're interested in all this, and. I recognise. You remember the actor? Who was it? You know, Power to the People. I recognise.
Oh, it's Citizen Smith. It was played by Robert Lindsay.
I recognise him from the back of his head, and it was 40 years later.
Wow.
Funny enough,
I didn't arrest him.
Funny enough, Nigel Farage said this to me. He said that he's got to a stage now. So obviously, the worst thing you can be is famous and controversial. Right, you know, if you kind of Cilla Black, it's all right, right? Because there are people who want to walk up to you and call you, see you next Tuesday, right? So what he said was, even if I wear a mask and a baseball cap and glasses, people recognise my walk. And just sort of
he's got a unique walk.
Come on, Nigel. Apparently
he minces a bit, doesn't he, when he walks a bit?
Yeah.
He needs to dress different as well. He's got such a distinctive.
I love that Alan Partridge one.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Well, no,
there's a picture. Nigel Farage and Kate Hoey got a fishing vessel and sailed down the Thames, and somebody went to them, asked them to do the pose, which was from the Alan Partridge. Do you remember when he marketed the
sports casual one,
the river boats?
Oh yeah,
on the Norfolk Broad when the cow lands.
He's
on
like
top.
this, isn't he?
Him and his wife.
Yeah.
What a way to have a good time. He's under a cow. I'll get Cliff Thorburn. It's absolutely superb. But it's fair to say that Farage and Partridge have a similar dress sense. But are you a UFO believer, by the way?
No, I'm not. But I sort of respect the Trump administration for releasing these files today. You know.
What you mean? You don't think there's any life out there?
I think there's definitely life out there.
Well, you don't think there's more advanced beings?
Yeah, but the thing is, if you think about the observable universe, right, and then you think about what is beyond the observable universe, we don't know, and in fact, every day, millions of miles become unobservable to us, and that will never come back as the universe expands. I'm sure in the trillions upon trillions upon trillions of stars, each with trillions upon trillions upon trillions of galaxies and planets and all this sort of thing, somewhere there is something else. The question is whether we'll ever find them, which, remember, as I say, what is it? A couple of billion miles disappear from our observable universe every single day. Therefore, they're all getting further away.
Yeah, I mean, the counter to that is that the chances of life occurring on Earth are so incredibly small that even though the universe is so colossal, as you said.
Well, that assumes life began on Earth.
Do you think it didn't?
I think it's perfectly possible it didn't. So I believe in God, and I believe in God creating things, but I don't believe he necessarily placed Adam and Eve into the Garden of Eden.
Could have been an asteroid of a small microscopic life that smashed into Earth and then evolved.
If you think about it, we now believe that the atmosphere of Mars blew away because its magnetic field depleted. Now, it could well be that something smashed into Mars and it's whatever. I mean, by the way, we're talking about sludge. We're not talking about kind of some little green man being beamed across. But I think it's perfectly possible that a microbe arrived on a meteor.
Do you think we'll ever see any contact with other civilizations?
No. Oh yeah.
No, I absolutely do not. And what I think is the reason that we have to investigate these UFOs is because if we see vehicles outperforming not just our own vehicles but our knowledge of science, then we have to work out how that's happening and why it's happening. Now, if it's just a weather formation or somebody getting confused, that's fair enough. I think actually the most likely, and by the way, I don't believe this, but I think the most likely is other humans living beneath the sea, hiding away from us because we're all thick.
Well, the thing
I
is,
think that's much
beneath the sea.
Don't mock it. Yeah, under Sunday 8, they come out every now and then.
I have to say, I do not believe that. But I'll tell you the reason why I think that's more. I'll tell you why I think that's more likely than little green men, because we know there's life on Earth. So life being hidden away.
David Attenborough.
Life being hidden away on Earth, I think, is more likely than life existing elsewhere and coming to see us. I don't believe either of them, by the way.
We know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the depths of the ocean as well.
Exactly.
We hardly explore it.
Well, we all saw the hunt for Red October, where they'd done the Mariana Trench.
Remember the clangers? And 50,000 years ago, right? I mean, no, in the 80s, right, we thought human beings, Homo sapien, was 50,000 years old. We've now found skeletons that prove we're actually 300,000 years old, human beings. Now, civilization is said to be 6,000 years old, writing, agriculture.
Yeah.
They haven't changed that from when they thought it was 50,000. Now it's 300,000. They think we only did civilization 6,000 years ago, and we were as intelligent 300,000 years ago. So there could be things, if you go to Rome and things, it's 20 foot down. You go to 100,000 years ago, we've probably not even discovered. Do you think there was maybe they were very technologically advanced? Look at the pyramids. We couldn't build them now. Do you think there's a massive war happened and all the old civilizations are so deep and what was left could be hidden under the oceans? They were more advanced than us, possibly. Am I right or am I right?
Not convinced.
Well, I'll try again.
By the way, my favourite fact, and this has got nothing to do with drug use, though on the face of it sounds like it does. Mummies have tested positive for cocaine. Yeah. Now, what that means, the fact that people liked getting off their faces in the time of the ancient Egyptians is of less interest than the fact that cocaine has only ever been produced in South America, and that means it was imported from Brazil, from Colombia to Egypt at the time of the ancient Egyptians. Now, there is another caveat on this. Cocaine is a very highly valuable and small product, right? So it may well be there might not have been very much transatlantic trade by volume, but there was transatlantic trade, which is an amazing thought. Because when people go, well, how come there's pyramids in South America and there's pyramids in Egypt? Well, we know they were selling to each other.
Interesting.
Anyway, let's go to the front pages.
Let's start with the Daily Express. People need to explain why they did not act. A rape young victim abused from the age of 12 wants the police and care staff who failed her to face a criminal probe. Girl 1, in inverted commas, said that otherwise the grooming gang's inquiry was pointless, adding people need to explain why they didn't act. Well, it's all a cover-up back then, and it's still continuing to be a cover-up, and you can bet your bottom dollar it'll continue. What's your views on all this?
Well, I mean, we know part of the reason we didn't act is because they were scared about the consequences of being called racist or the discomfort about pointing out ethnicity. So
and protecting their client, their voter base.
Also worth pointing out that the police claim, the claim by social services, the claim by councils that the mosques told them not to investigate grooming gangs has no basis in fact whatsoever. No imam, no mosque committee has ever been proved to actually. The reality is there are a group of bad people in the Muslim community, and the police found it easier to do nothing than actually help the community root out bad apples. That is the reality of it. That is the reality.
It's just such a sad story. I mean, it's going to go on and on and on.
And it's still going on. That's the thing about it.
Yeah,
people are going to get upset with me for saying this, but I do think there are a category of victims who are Pakistani men. And I think they're a category of victims in the same way as Catholic priests who were not child molesters were a category of victims of people who have now been massively smeared by this entire scandal when they've done nothing wrong. My Pakistani Muslim friends simply were unaware of the grooming gangs. They did not tell the police to not act. They did not demand the council allow it to take place. None of this stuff is true. And whilst their suffering is in no way comparable to the suffering of the child abuse victims, I think it is worth pointing out that they've suffered as well.
Yeah, and it needs a society-wide response. It needs those Pakistani men to speak out, it needs us to speak out, it needs everyone to speak out. I mean, it's just such a an awful story that is.
By the way, I love this on the front page of the Express, and they've got it on the screens now. Prince William's family, particularly Princess Catherine, I have to say I really like her. I think it's an incredibly difficult job to be the wife of a royal. I think Camilla and Kate have proved it. Camilla, obviously, far harder for her because she was just hated as a result of the situation with Princess Diana. But I think the two of them have been team players in that respect. They've married someone, they know it's a difficult position. They've put their husband's duty before themselves. They've not tried to be celebrities, they've not tried to be showy, and I think both of them have benefited. And also there's an additional thing that Princess Catherine appears in good health in the photo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's been humble, as you say. She's not sought celebrity for herself. I do like these photos.
She's got class, doesn't she? That Meghan Markle is so jealous of, and she just makes it worse for herself and actually makes Kate look classier, doesn't she, every time?
Well, yeah, it's not seeking the showbiz fame that Meghan Markle has been seeking, which is the contrast.
They don't get it to the Americans. It's not really showbiz. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think sometimes with Meghan Markle, if I was going to be fair to her, and I'm rarely fair to her, I think she had misunderstood the whole thing. I mean, when she did something. Now we as Brits,
she slayed a blinder though, isn't she?
We as Brits know that what she's done here is bad, but I can understand why she thinks it's good. So she comes into the royal family and she's a woman of colour, right? Which, by the way, is of interest to them and nobody in Britain gives a toss about, but she's not worked that out yet. She thinks that's a big significant moment. It isn't, but okay. Without the permission of the Queen, without asking the Queen's private secretary, she requested a meeting with the Secretary General of the Commonwealth to discuss how they can better represent black women. Right, now, you know that if you were Meghan Markle, you'd think to yourself, that's quite a good idea, and that will be helpful. But what you also know as a Brit is the Commonwealth Secretary General will immediately phone the Queen's private secretary going, why is this person trying to get a meeting with me to push her political agenda? And the Queen will have got on the phone to Meghan and gone, what the F are you doing? Right? But I have some sympathy with Meghan Markle, right? I can understand why she did that, why she thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, and I mean, more broadly, she wanted the fame, pushed for the fame, got the fame, but I think didn't quite realise how aggressive the tabloid papers are in this country.
Also, the other thing is about Meghan. The other thing is about Meghan, right? If you get married, right? If you get married, how often do you see the great-grandmother? Right, so think about when she thought, oh, I'm very close to the Queen. Right, okay, so the Queen is jetting here, there and everywhere, and also is the great-grandmother, and you've only been a working royal for a year. Right, I would suggest to you she's probably only met her about 10 times. Right, it's not like they live in the same house. It's not like I don't know. It's not like different strokes or something. Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but she should have.
What you talking about, Willis?
She should have known what she was getting into in the same way that Catherine.
No, but when she kept going on about her personal working knowledge of the Queen, you thought, well, look, you're married, aren't you?
No.
No. Okay. Well, for those people.
Asking?
Those people watching and listening, not my type, those people watching and listening who are married will know that if there is a great-grandmother still alive, you're not a regular with her, right? You don't. I mean, how often in the first year of marriage, how many times did you see his grandma? That's the question that most women will be asking themselves, and they'll be saying, not that often, if I'm being totally honest. We didn't live in the same house, though, Meghan offered.
Yeah, but it's an unusual family. It's not a normal family. The royal family.
But they don't.
You're marrying into it.
All right, you are welcome. You are welcome to text in if I'm wrong. But I'm saying to you, if you are a woman and you marry a man, right, and his great grandmother is still alive. Well, forget that. His grandmother. Right? No, it is his grandmother. It's not his great grandmother. Okay,
his grandmother,
right. So it's his grandmother. When you got married, in the first year of marriage, how often did you see his grandmother? How much time did you spend with her? Didn't go on holiday with her, did you? Didn't go to dinner every night? Didn't live in the same house? No, I think she only met him I'm convinced Meghan met the Queen about 10 times.
She's played a blinder for herself, though. I mean, it's messed up the royal family, it's messed up Harry, but for her, what would she be doing now if she hadn't done this? She's now world famous. All right, all her celebrity friends have shunned her, but, you know, she'll probably end up with some billionaire in the end, won't she?
Oh, I think it's a tough life for her. Tough life.
Is it?
I think Harry is a tough life.
I think it is for Meghan. Yeah, pursued by the press.
She loves it. She loves being pursued by the press.
She does and she doesn't, though. That's her whole shtick, isn't it?
She is hated. It seems to me that she thinks she's hated for being black. She's hated for being a pushy American.
Yeah, and chasing the fame as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so she is suffering, if you like, the allergic reaction she's suffering, but it's not because she's black. And by the way, the other thing, and I've made this point on many occasions, a white guy who'd get skin cancer off a big light says this, but okay. It seems to me that in the United States of America, if you are descended from black people, if you like, in a black family, whatever your skin tone, you will suffer very significant negative problems related to the history of slavery, history of poverty, history of poor education, lack of family assets, and all these sorts of things, living in an area that's poor. So even if you do not look black, it seems to me that in America, you suffer the same problems, if you like, as somebody who does look black, right? If you come to Britain, the problem of racial discrimination is literally related to the colour of your skin. If you do not look like a black dude in Britain, you're not going to suffer. You're not going to suffer any negative consequence of being black, if you see what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think there still is some of the people growing up in tough conditions because of historical. There's still a historical.
But that's only related to being a migrant. It would be no different being Polish or black or whatever. My point is that the history of slavery which exists in America is something that makes Meghan Markle believe her ethnicity is important in a way it's not in Britain. And I'm saying this is a genuine thing. You know, she has said that she's concerned about her children being discriminated against for being black. They are ginger. But in her mind, because of the fact that you don't have to have black skin colour in America to suffer the very real consequences of slavery in your family, that makes sense. To us, it's madness. When you go, this ginger kid's black and is suffering from discrimination because he's black.
And is a royal.
Yeah. He's a white prince with ginger hair, right? I mean, if that guy went to Zaire, right, he'd have real problems without Factor 50 sun cream, right? But it's amazing that she just doesn't understand the difference in the scenario.
Yeah.
But she doesn't, and I get that. I get that if you were a white person growing up in a black family in Alabama, then you would still be continuing to suffer, at least to some extent, the legacy of slavery. But less so in Tunbridge Wells. Yeah. Right? Anyway, Asher.
Kieran Galpin is here, a journalist. We're going through the papers, and don't forget, if you've got any queries, if you've got any problems, I'm here. Ask Ash. Any problems, love, work, DIY,
sex,
cooking, sex, anything you want. 0344499.
If you want some new ideas,
unqualified medical advice.
If you want some new ideas of how to spice up your sex life, he's not your man. Now, by the way, just to be clear about the Ask Ash agony aunt section, Asher Gould is a trained sound engineer.
I'm not trained.
He's not even trained. So he's an untrained sound engineer. Right. He has no legal. I've got biology A level. He has no moral. He has no expertise as a doctor, psychologist, psychiatrist.
And it's cheaper than the real medical.
He'll give it a go. So if you're willing to phone up and you are willing to take legal advice from someone who's completely unqualified, phone up. If you're willing to take medical advice from somebody...
He might be right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he might be right.
He might be right,
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
I've got a clock that's right 4 times a day, actually. It's got another face on it, and they're both broken, but yes.
And that is the quality of the advice that you will receive.
03444991000, but we're going through the papers.
If you want to be right, twice as many times by a 4-face clock, that is the quality of the advice you can expect at midnight.
We've got Kieran Galpin, journalist. We're going through all the papers. It's Talk at Andre JP Walker, at Virtual Ash. Yeah, give us a ring, and if you're a bit scared, just leave a WhatsApp voice message 03444991000. Of course, you can text us 87222. Text the word talk and your message. We'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Kieran Galpin. Sorry, I do apologise. Let's have a look at the front page of The Guardian. Now, I just want to encourage you not to buy The Guardian tomorrow because look, you know what? It's a nice weekend. The weather's lovely. And they've got a free magazine for healthy food recipes. Get the bloody barbecue out.
Have you seen the look of it as well? Look at it. That looks like what you have after a terrible night out, you know, in my life. Anyway, the main story...
No, let's continue to ridicule The Guardian. Right, I mean, look at that. That is at best quinoa and what's it? What's that type of cabbage?
It's like a banana skin they found in a bin and stuck in like...
Sorry?
Parsley.
No, I don't think it's parsley. I think that is a kale.
Do you eat this sort of stuff?
I love this sort of stuff.
You look like... He looks like that.
Are you a communist?
Muesli muncher. Yeah.
Are you a communist?
No. Yogurt knitter. He's a yogurt knitter.
What's your ideal dinner?
What, raw fruit? Raw fruitarianism.
I will tell you what I had for dinner today, and then you can tell me what you had. Right. I got 2 punnets of mushrooms. I put them in a pan of hot water. I boiled them. I then pureed them. I then threw in 2 vegetable stock cubes and half a can of cream, and that was my cream of mushroom soup. A bit of salt and pepper to start with. Then I took I took a piece of beef. I put on Heinz barbecue sauce and I roasted it at 110 for 13 hours to make it American-style beef brisket, which is what I had for main course with some chips. Now, that is a man dinner.
Tell us about your chip, though. How do you make the chip? You're not going to use oven chips, do you?
I've got to be totally honest with you. McCain all the way. I'm sorry.
Nah. It's not a fried chip.
Fryer.
You're not going to beat... No,
do you know
it's
the
not
story
going to
of
beat
McCain?
fried...
Do you know the story of McCain? When McDonald's came to the UK, they wanted their chip maker to come with them, their fry maker. But unfortunately, the fry maker refused to help the American one.
Yeah.
The Canadian one did as well. Instead, the Canadian one is McCain. They opened up to supply chips to McDonald's. They now supply something like 80% of ready-cut chips in Britain.
But the McCain chips you buy from the supermarket are so much worse than McDonald's chips. What's that about?
Do you know the McDonald's chip come from a specific potato that's quite long, so they
get the
russet
perfect.
the perfect.
Do you remember when somebody said
they're better in this country? They have less additives.
Do you remember the McLible trial where that guy? What was his name? David.
Keir Starmer.
His name David. Yeah, he was.
He was. That was
David Morris, not the MP that I worked for. The activist. Claimed that McDonald's were selling fries made of paper. Right?
You haven't just McLibeled them, have you?
And apparently at the beginning of the case, it's really interesting. Keir Starmer made millions off this.
Yeah.
The judge said, look to McDonald's Corporation, you are suing this man for libel over his ridiculous claims. McDonald's beef wasn't beef. McDonald's potato wasn't potato. I mean, what the hell else did you expect it to be? But the judge said, look, this man has got no money. He's not even going to be able to afford his own legal fees, let alone yours. And McDonald said the allegations he's made against us are so disgusting and so dishonest, we're going to sue him anyway and pay his legal fees just to prove. But he was required. They dragged him into that. It must have been ludicrous. They dragged him into the High Court to justify his claim that McDonald's beef was not made of beef. I mean,
but did they win? I don't know if
did they win?
I mean,
of course
Keir Starmer won, didn't he? I thought he
Was it all publicity?
I thought the whole thing was Keir Starmer won
Keir
the
Starmer
big corporation who beat them. I thought
he made a lot of money off it. The claims that were being made in the McLible trial were clearly ludicrous. Ultimately, our chips are made of potato.
They're actually good. The chips are pretty good at the McDonald's.
I'll tell you what I dislike about.
I like the uniformity.
I'll tell you what I don't like about McDonald's. They've cut down the salt.
Oh, I didn't know
chips.
that.
But just put your own in then.
Yeah, you can.
I'm not a fan of McDonald's. Anyways, you'll enjoy my dinner. I had Indonesian beef salad.
So tell us about. We'll do cooking tips as well. Ask Ash. I do cooking. What's this beef thing you just said?
If you did a beef rendang with salad on the side, which is an Indonesian dish, with maybe a nice nasi goreng, fried rice. So what's Indonesian beef then?
It was basically just mince, just with a bit of sauce. Bit of a peanutty type sauce.
Oh yeah,
and then with lettuce.
So you think minced beef and satay sauce is an Indonesian dish?
Well, that's what the recipe says.
It sounds it, doesn't it? Yeah, very sophisticated.
How
did you have
make
it
the
with?
peanut sauce?
Did you have chips with it?
By the way, I used to own an Indonesian restaurant.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
Why?
Because I ate. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I ate in the same Indonesian Malaysian restaurant in Soho every night for 2 years. Whilst I worked at the House of Commons, and it just became. By the way, I was wrong in this, but I thought it'd be cheaper to just buy my own restaurant.
You were like Victor.
It wasn't.
You were like Victor Kaya.
It wasn't.
I thought it was so good, and I bought the company.
It wasn't. I'm not joking. My business partner,
Victor Kaya.
It's fair to say some of the produce he bought was from Colombia. In fact, quite a lot of the produce he bought was from Colombia. And when I got to the bank account, I discovered that £50,000 was missing.
Still was cheaper than buying takeaways.
And it's fair to say, he made a snivelling apology for a variety of reasons. He's now a Labour councillor.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not going to name him, but
have we got a little break here?
When I say he made a snivelling apology, that was to do with what he spent the 50 grand on. If I'm being totally honest, when I got there, the cupboard was bare.
Anyway, 03444991000. It's the press preview. We're going through all the papers. There's the Daily Star. Got Judith Chalmers there talking terrible, very sad news that she passed away. The boys of 26 talking about the England team. The Times rewired for economic ruin. George Michael changed my life in the time. Anyway, we're going to go
George
through
Michael was clearly a good bloke.
He was a good guy. It's Talk with Andre and Ash and Kieran Galpin going through the papers back after this.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the Late Show. What are you doing? This is the Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and the problem is it's going to be Kieran Galpin. Kieran, I have to say we've had a conversation about food, and you were born in Indonesia.
I was, yeah.
So what part of being born in Indonesia made you believe that sticking peanut butter onto
No, if you stick peanut butter, if you put it in a pot noodle, especially a Bombay bad boy, it turns it into a whole new dish.
Do you know what peanut butter's made out of?
Peanuts.
Peanuts, isn't it?
Do you know what else?
It's just peanuts, isn't it?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. Peanut butter.
Salt sometimes.
No, it's literally peanut butter is pureed peanuts. That's it. So you go, well, why has it got all that oil? Now you're asking because peanuts are oily. It's just
very oily.
But the cheaper ones, they add stuff. No.
Yeah, well, those are preservatives.
Yeah, okay.
But classic peanut butter. I mean, normally with a satay sauce, I mean, you'd probably not go too far wrong. I've never made it. What with puree some peanuts, stick a bit of coconut milk into it, some salt and pepper, boom. I'd have thought.
That's a bit more.
Why would you put the coconut? I mean,
just to give it a bit of creaminess.
You're quite a cook.
He is quite a gourmet, yeah. He keeps it quiet, doesn't he? Daily Star tribute.
You know what? We should do a cooking thing. What are you doing? I'll tell you what. I remember watching Gordon Ramsay. I love this. What is it?
Yeah,
Kitchen Nightmares America.
Nightmares, yeah.
And the guy goes, Chef Ramsay, have you got no respect for my ability? He goes, grow some balls, you fat FC UK. Grow some balls.
I always used to watch that, and I'd look up after because it was like a year ago or two, and they'd always be bankrupt and closed down the restaurants. He didn't help at all.
I think the fact
he made it a lot worse.
I think the fact he saved 20% of them was probably actually quite a big achievement.
Yeah, for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Anyway, Daily Star tributes to holiday show star Chalmers. Wish you were still here, Judith. Travel show pioneer Judith Chalmers has died at 90 years old, the family said. After 60 years of broadcasting with countless adventures, she left a suitcase full of memories. Yeah, classic. I remember in the 80s, the holiday programme.
I've got to be honest with you, if you remember the holiday programme, and you may not, they go, Judith Chalmers is in the Maldives at a 5-star hotel, and they go, Shankar Guha is reviewing the latest all-inclusive in Benidorm, and they go, Monty Don is shoveling poo at a working farm. Monty Don always got sent to like the awful stuff. Right? I don't know who Shankar Guha was, but he always got like the middle. She literally treated herself to taxpayers.
It's the best job in the world.
She treated herself. That woman lived on 5-star resorts from about 1985.
Sort of Jill Dando, I remember she sort of took over from her. In fact, they probably did it at the same time. But yeah. So you didn't know about Judith Chalmers, did you not study her in history and all that?
Is Monty Don still required to go shoveling poo he's in the Cotswolds.
He just likes it.
And by the way, the Monty Don holidays, let's take your children mucking out for the summer. Right? I mean, why would you want to do that? Why is that good? No normal person likes that. It's
satisfying when you clear it.
No normal person likes that. You know the people that like that? The sort of people who are like, oh, you know, dad's a head of geography in a comprehensive school and mum's a social worker. Let's go on a working farming holiday. Get out of it. I want to go on the Dodgems in Benidorm. Right, get out of it.
Yeah,
not doing that. No. Unacceptable. But it'd be great. You'll get to live on the land. No, I want to live on a beach. Right, I'm not interested.
With Judith Chalmers.
I would go with Chalmers, not Monty Don. Shankar Guha, I could go either way on. Go either way.
The boys of 26. Tuchel evokes Ramsey spirit. Boss, this is about the England team for the World Cup. Boss puts team ethos first. The squad named a lot of players who were expected to be in aren't in. He's really going for it in his own way. Grant Page, an authority on the 1966 hero, said of Tuchel's decision, this is talking about Alf Ramsey, he talked of his decision to leave out the big names. His words could have come straight from the mouth of Sir Alf. Tuchel said, we are trying to build the best team, not to select the 26 most talented players. That's interesting, isn't it? He's not getting the very best. He's just getting the best team.
This is something, Kieran. My dad was on the executive of Lancashire Football Association, so he's got you know, he's been the vice chairman of a small football club.
Which club?
Blackburn Rovers. No, I'm joking. I'm not. My dad is not Jack Walker.
Johnny Walker.
What is interesting about this? No, he's just my best friend. What is interesting about this is that there has been a long debate within football about something that, and I know my dad's on the side of the Alf Ramsey kind of idea, which is this. The reality is, when the egos land, you don't build a team. Right, and actually, you know, the 20 best players in England do not make the best football team. Actually, they make a car crash, and the reality is there are other players with not in the Championship, but in the Premier League, who actually will gel together better as a team. Now, what that means is you have to have the guts as the England manager to say, even though you're England's best player, you're not going to work for us. What side are you on?
I'm absolutely on the same side.
I wouldn't say England. They're still putting England's best player, the top player, the Harry Kane. And when teams go in, they do have a talisman. Like, if you've got Maradona, you ain't going to leave him out. Yeah. You ain't going to leave Ronaldo out. And like, this is why Harry Kane. It's the ones that are just below that, who are a bit superstars, like Foden. He's kicked them out, and it's quite a good idea to bring them in with the big stuff. Let's have a look. We've got Tuchel now. He's going to let's have a look at Tuchel explaining himself.
I think from day one we were very clear that we are trying to select and build the best possible team, which is not necessarily to select and collect the 26 most talented players. Teams win championships, it's as simple as that. And what we are trying to achieve in summer can only be achieved as a team.
You see, but you keep your talisman, but you like your Pelés, your Maradonas.
So just to be careful, just to be clear, is the England manager German?
Yeah.
That is not acceptable.
Well, we haven't got any.
I don't know who the England manager is. I only know who one football manager is, Dean Holden, deputy manager of Hull City, who's Danielle's husband.
Fabrizio Ravanelli was the first. No, right.
We can't be having a German. No,
the
stop.
Italian guy. Yeah. The Italian guy. What was his name?
No, I don't care about Italians. There's only one. Right, it should say in the England football coaches' rules, you can be from any country other than Germany. Surely.
They're better than us, though, the Germans. They know what they're doing, don't they?
I like Germans very much, but you can't be leaving them in charge of either your military or your football team. You can't be doing that. And probably race relations. They've struggled.
Yeah, but we haven't really got many. We've got a few. There was, Sean Douche, and there's a few others, but we haven't really got. So we have to.
Sean Dyche.
Him as well.
I like calling him Sean Daesh.
We've got to look around. And German, we're a bit too emotional. Maybe it's good to have this guy's pretty good. I didn't like Southgate.
But Rommel was a good military commander.
Not that good. Not as good as what's his face. Monty was better.
We didn't ask him to lead NATO, right? I mean, no, it's not. No.
Don't forget Al Alamein.
No, I'm sorry. He should at least be taught how to speak English properly and change his name to Turret or something. I don't know, right?
Are you a football fan? Are you?
Vaguely.
What? Who's your team?
Manchester City.
What, are you from Manchester?
I grew up abroad.
Glory hunter.
I grew up abroad.
So where else have you lived abroad then? Germany?
Greece. Well, born in Indonesia, then Greece.
So your dad was in the military?
No.
Diplomat?
No, can't say. Secret.
Is that true?
No.
Journalist.
International pimp.
Anyway, let's go to the Soaraway Times.
People trafficker.
The Times on Saturday. Yasmin Le Bon. I love my husband, but I want to kill him too. Right, so...
Well, that's great, isn't it?
Don't say, if that goes to court, you're going to be in trouble with that headline. George Michael changed my life. Satnam Sanghera. Was that his... boyfriend?
By the way, George Michael, I discovered something about George Michael.
He looks like he's done his hair the same as George Michael.
I've discovered something about George Michael. Do you remember in the 80s and 90s? I mean, you less so will remember, but where they'd go, on the news, there'd be old lady got robbed of 80 grand or whatever, and it used to often happen on Crime Watch. And the next Crime Watch, they'd go. Or the update, they go, a viewer's phoned in to compensate the woman personally, but doesn't want to be named on screen. It was always George Michael. George Michael would sit there, getting drunk, going,
smoking a big fat one.
Look at that old lady. She's had 50 grand, Nix. I'll give her the 50 grand. And you'll notice how in the 80s and 90s, this used to happen regularly, and now it doesn't. It's because it wasn't like 5 people; it was just George Michael on his own. They reckon he gave away £100 million.
Wow.
Yeah. And if the picture in there, I think it's meant to be George Michael behind him. That's not George Michael, is it? I mean, look at that.
It looks like.
It's just like.
It looks like that. It looks like that gay dancer off Benidorm.
Yeah,
What's his name?
Certainly not James.
What's his name? You know that one who plays Manuel, not Manuel. What's his name?
What's his name? Who? Andrew Sir.
No, the one off the film, the TV show Benidorm, the barman.
Oh. Yes, I don't know. I remember the guy. I know the guy you mean, yeah.
The one who thinks the correct Spanish pronunciation of you is Jew. Just changing your J's to U's doesn't work, right?
The other thing in the Times, rewired for economic ruin. Britain faces an economic catastrophe as young adults, rewired by smartphones, are trapped in worklessness. A government review has found. This is what we were talking about with the doctor earlier, if you saw it earlier. Ian Milburn, a former health secretary, was appointed by Keir
Alan
Starmer.
Milburn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the A's been cut off.
Lan Milburn.
He says...
Alan Milburn talks like the Pet Shop Boys sing. We need more nurses in the NHS.
Was he the one who was the former postman?
No, that was... oh God, I can't remember his name.
Alan something.
No, but Alan Milburn talks like the Pet Shop Boys sing. It's always disconcerting. Very disconcerting.
Milburn said these young people were not snowflakes or faking it, and that their distress and anxiety were linked to having grown up on social media. It changes the physiology of the brain, as discussed with the doctor earlier. He said they were being failed by the state, and it was necessity that the Labour government reform welfare to encourage work. The system is trapping people in worklessness. We were talking the other day, you know, if you're in universal credit, if you're on over 65 grand, you're the top 10% rich of the nation. So there's many people on the dole just claiming benefits. They're in the top 10%. They are the wealthy of this country. And then they give them discounts to go to the Tower of London for £1, while us schmucks on less than them have to pay 100 quid for a family of 4. I mean, things have got to change, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely, got to change. I think my generation's been so ruined by growing up.
You've really been badly affected.
I think look at my peers and just...
And the economy as well. You can't buy housing.
I think it is simply wrong to turn around to young people today and say it's their fault. It plainly is not.
It's plainly degeneration.
Plainly not their fault. But what Alan Milburn's saying here, I mean, if Asher Gould's medical advice is right, and by the way, I wouldn't trust him on medical advice, except for the fact that a paediatrician from Leicester, Royal Infirmary or whatever it's called, agreed with him. If your brain has been rewired by social media, then one would assume that you can't do anything about it. So as an example, when children and young people have a propensity towards crime, they can have their neural connections altered through therapy. But once you get to 20, it's over. You know,
unless they can find a way to reprogram. Have you seen Clockwork Orange?
I've not actually.
At the end, they get the criminal and they put these things and make
Little Alex.
And yeah, so you never know with AI and everything.
Do you like Eggy Weggies?
I do, yeah, I do like an Eggy Weggy. Daily Mail.
Me and my droogs.
Burnham plots new tax rate on Middle England. Would-be PM vows to overhaul council tax and impose fresh levy on undertaxed land. Burnham said yesterday paved the way on a new tax grab on Middle England. Have we got to go through all the other candidate names now?
No, let's just not mention the.
Just don't mention it.
What I was going to say is forget who is advocating this. This is something that the Labour Party has been angling towards for a while, which is we've basically now taxed income to an extent that it's just punitive, right? 50% of what you earn goes to the government now, at least 50%. So now, having run out of ways to tax your income, we're now going to tax your wealth. And I repeat the comment I've made multiple times, Kieran. We're not going to redistribute from rich to poor. We're going to redistribute from middle-class people to the government.
Yeah, that's true. The only thing I would say about this is I think the land value tax shifting from the more standard council tax could be a good idea, because what it does is it doesn't penalise you for developing a property on the land, because if you're developing property on a land, you're then going to get taxed higher if then the cost of that property goes up. Whereas if you're taxing the value of the land, that's then less punitive on that. But I think you're right. I think this is. But if you then turn around and say, look, okay, so
your earnings in life we tax at 50%. Your death we tax at, what, 40% over a certain amount. Now all the wealth you generate in the meantime we're gonna tax at, say, 20%. The reality is you're getting to the stage where you are starting to feel like the Soviet Union, where in reality it would be easier to just all work for the state. And I mean, when you're talking about, and if you are, say you were to earn all your life in the high tax bracket and to have a house that's worth £1 million, ultimately, what are you giving to the government? What, 70% of your income? And you're keeping 30 for yourself. It would just be easier if the government gave you the 30% and you worked for the government. You know, you're getting to the stage where it becomes pointless to operate a private sector at all. And what will happen is they will say these houses are lived in by rich people. Let's tax it. But you've got a major problem because the pound has been so deflated over the years. Millionaires are largely middle class people who are not rich. They've just
and their houses are dropping. People are going to negative equity.
It's just a house that's worth £5,000. The currency's been so deflated that now £5,000 buys you a very small car rather than a house, right? Your house has not got 5 times better. What's happened is the currency's been devalued by 95%.
But if you bought a house 10 years ago for £1.5 million, it's now £1 million. You've lost money. People are not talking about that. But that's what's... Anyway, we've got Kieran Galpin here, journalist. We're going through all the papers. We've still got the Soar Away Sun, the current bun, of course. Katie Lee and the Biker Babe. Oh, that's interesting. That's Katie Price story, and also all the England stories. Drayton Manor tickets, and you'll be able to get a discount as well with the Chancellor's very generous offer. It's Talk. We'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Kieran Galpin. Look, front page of the FT. I spot at the bottom something about Brewdog. Are we a big fan of these small breweries?
Well, you know what happened? I used to go to the Brewdog, I want to Waterloo, but what's happened is they got all the investors from the public and got them all to, and then they've basically... It's gone all downhill, and they've all ended up with pennies to the pound in their shares. And the guys who ran it have got off with a few million. You know, they're all right, Jack. But yeah, Brewdog's what ferments second best beer idea to ease pain of equity punks. Can you read that?
No. I think the long and short of the story is this: exactly what Asher says. People have invested in these kind of lifestyle businesses without realising that the people who've established the businesses are now going to walk out with a large amount of money, whereas the investors are going to be left with effectively overpriced shares.
I mean, that is the way it works. They didn't do that on purpose. Obviously, they wanted to be a success, but...
Well, no, I think Brewdog is a success.
It was a success, and then it struggled after the issues with the CEO, who that got accused of fomenting a dodgy workplace culture and harassing employees, etc. And
COVID obviously.
I think it's quite difficult. I'm one of 200 people who own my local brewery in Windsor, and the reality is, it seems to me when I invested in my local brewery, I invested in it because I quite like the place, I quite like the booze, and they were going to expand it, and we were going to pay for two things: a bigger bar at the brewery and a canning plant. I have never believed I'd get my money back. Right, I don't think I've ever been paid a dividend.
But you've drank your way through the dividend.
Well, no, I've gone the other way. Because my name's on the wall as one of the owners, I bring people there, and my spending... I think you've got to be incredibly careful in investing in businesses you like, unless you're like me, and you've literally just invested because if they build a bar and a canning factory... That is a benefit to me anyway, so I don't care about the money. I think you've got to be careful if you. But I think there's a bigger issue now with AI, which is a lot of the institutional investors are now shifting, open AI shares onto retail investors, and it's all going to go belly up. And all of these ordinary people phoning up, all these ordinary investors, the sort of I invest 20 grand brigade, right? Get into AI at your peril, right? The reality is, and I'm not an investment advisor, for the majority of these people, you'd be better getting into a nice little pension fund managed by somebody else rather than trying to play the markets, because I guarantee you, if you've seen a tip, then the institutional investors saw it a year ago.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, one of the things he said here is he's giving shares away to this new company that he's setting up to try and sweeten the deal for the people who lost the money from the original Brewdog. But yeah.
I also owned Ascot Brewery. And they phoned me up and they said, we've gone bust, we want to buy it out of administration. Do you want to give us more money? No. No, you're all right. Also, when I discovered Ascot Brew was in Camberley, I was deeply upset.
The other story, Europe braced for heat waves. I think we guessed that after today. And tomorrow's going to be, very hot. So, get a fan.
I'm going to buy some garden furniture. Are you going to buy some garden
furniture? Questions? Have you got a garden? Do you live? You got your own place with a garden? No. Of course not. He's from the generation.
I've got 15 acres down the street. I've got 15-acre garden and 2 quads. I live in a converted convent.
Wow. Yeah, so you want to step up your game, and you can have.
It's lovely. It's lovely. We've got 2 quads, all under security, and we've got a park that we let the public in.
That's a bit vulgar. What's actually come in the public?
With its own orchard. It's very nice.
Wow, very cool.
Funnily enough, I'm a big believer in, rather than buying...
It's got a slave plantation as well, so...
I do have a slave plantation.
Yeah, it really has.
There's no longer any slaves.
There's a loophole.
I'm a big believer, rather than buy some big house, and obviously people think that everyone on TV is absolutely loaded. That's not true. But rather than buy a big house, you'd be better with this concept of having a shared mansion, if you like, because then in my case, there's 80 flats sharing the cost of the 15-acre garden. Right, so suddenly it's not a complete nightmare rip-off. Equally, how often do you use it? It's like these places where they go, I built a swimming pool in my house. How many people go swimming in their house every day? What actually happens is, if you have it shared, at least you're not being done over for the cost.
So when you say you live in a convent, that's with 80 other people?
Well, I mean, not in the same room.
It was like that Nun film with Robbie Coltrane.
No, it's a big old convent. It used to be because obviously Windsor's a military town. It used to be where the pregnant teenage girls used to go.
You weren't there. That's not why you were there.
I'm not a pregnant teenage girl. No, I can confirm that. No, so they've converted it into all these flats. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but there's some lovely gardens there, which I do not bother enjoying, because we're all the same, aren't we? We go, oh, I should use this. Never do.
True, isn't it, man? Students, this is in the Telegraph. Students needn't open a book to get a degree. An Oxford academic has warned that students using AI can obtain a degree without reading any books. Catherine Rundell, a fellow at All Souls College, said professors can no longer tell whether essays have been written by human or machine. There are machines that will say this is definitely AI. So why haven't they got with the program?
Well, to me, the solution is so simple. The solution is so simple, and it's everyone has to sit in an exam hall and handwrite all their essays.
Oh, are they mollycoddled though? They can't be allowed to do
their exams handwritten.
Do you know what Eton College? Do you know what Eton College has done? Eton College has departed with everyone else. They've said, right, AI is here to stay. Use it as much as you like. But what you have to do is you have to turn in your work and say, I used AI for this bit. So you have to explain how you used AI, right? If all you did was write me an essay, also you have to stand by the standard of work created. So if it's crap, you are being marked down. You're not going to go, oh, AI gave me a load of slop. And they said, we think this is a more realistic approach, given that AI is here to stay.
I think that people will just get stupider and stupider and stupider, because the more you use AI, you're just offloading any kind of thinking onto your app.
I get drunk with my best friend, and we have arguments all the time. Like, we're discussing about whether Lithuanians were a big contingent in the Waffen-SS, and we always settle it by asking Perplexity AI the answer.
Yes, I think that's fine. That's using it for research and double checking your sources, fine. But if it's when people are using it,
also very few people are debating the Latvian SS at 3 in the morning.
That's also true.
Kieran Galpin, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's all about your calls.
Come on, actually, you're on your own 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, ask us 03444991000. He's going to point Percy at the porcelain. Thanks, man.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, man. It's Talk. It's Ash. We don't know where Andre's gone. It's Ask Ash right now. Look, see for yourself. If you're listening on the radio, I'm pointing at Ask Ash. 03444991000. Any quandaries in your life, health, love, DIY, food. On food, has Andre and Ash heard of sous vide when it comes to cooking beef? I thought I was a pop star in the 80s. Anyway, let's speak to... any questions, you can ring us on that number and leave a voice message as well if you're a bit scared. 03444991000 on WhatsApp. So let's go to Cindy. Cindy in Pigeon in Michigan. Cindy.
Hey, Ash. How you doing?
All right, yeah. How are you?
Good, good. I have a question, and I have a question / kind of idea. I was thinking someday what we should do is have Ask Ash and Cindy, and have.
Well, you're trying to muscle in on my. You're trying to muscle in on the part of the show.
I am. I think it would be more fun. You know, have me on Zoom, and we could be like.
Might not be as good, actually.
I think it would be great.
Yeah.
I think someday we should try it.
Do you want to try it? Yeah. Well, have you got any questions for me?
Yeah, I do. Actually, regarding a little bit in regards to the segment you had on earlier, and I think that phones are affecting people, and I have a couple of friends left who, well, they don't like talking on the phone. They like to text more, and I'm not a texter. I hate it.
I understand. I understand that. Well, there's the middle way, isn't there? Where you just send a voice message. You know, you have a conversation on a voice message, so it's sort of a halfway house. It's like a text message, but vocally. How about that? Meeting them halfway. Or just get rid of your friends.
Oh, yeah. I think meeting the halfway point is good. That's good.
See, I've solved it, haven't I? Ask Ash. It's another satisfied customer.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, is it hot there? It's 30 degrees here today. You know that, Cindy. Is it hot where you are?
It was yesterday, but it's cold today.
Yeah, good. So, anyway, you happy? You satisfied with I've sorted out your problem?
Yeah, I sure am.
Thanks, Cindy. Let's go to Grace in London, a satisfied customer. Grace, how can I help you?
I don't think I
Your question, please.
Well, I was more commenting on how brilliant I thought your earlier discussion with Taryn was.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. With Taryn.
Yeah, I mean, I have so often felt really frustrated in that I instinctively feel inclined towards the left, but I'm more and more seeing that some people on the left put all of their energy into arguing about Palestine. And I think that to an extent there's a good motive there, and I think people are genuinely concerned about those people who are suffering, but I think...
Are they really? They're not concerned about people in Sudan or 50,000 people being mown down in Iran or the Uyghurs?
I was just about to say that. And
you're arguing with yourself.
Well, no, I'm not arguing with myself. I'm trying to convey my being perplexed by this, thinking, why don't they spend some of this energy on arguing for more support?
Because they're not really looking for the answers that they know would be right. That's why they're not really worried about the 50,000 killed. They want to stay in their sort of social bubble. You know, this is sort of a social... We don't really get youth movements, you know, like punks and this. The new thing is you're either on the left or the right, and if you're on the left, you got to stay all this...
If they were really on the left, then they would be concerned about people who are oppressed and suffering in our world.
The left, I mean, look at the left. They're meant to be concerned about the working class here, but they've been deserted. I mean, the Labour Party are meant to be for the working man, but they're hammering the working man, treading, putting them in prison. I mean, look at what's going on. So everything's juxtaposed, isn't it?
I mean, to me, it's really exciting that if we do support people in the poorest parts of the world, we can make a really huge difference pound for pound. Like if you sponsor a child, you could completely transform their life, but it's only about £1 a day. So I find that really positive. But instead, people just want to moan about Israel. And it's kind of like, I don't understand. I really don't get it. But I think that as
What do you think they are doing? What is it that makes them concentrate on Israel?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, my a family member of mine has said that she thinks there's some kind of spiritual dimension to it, and that because God chose the people of Israel, there's a kind of satanic hatred of Israel. But I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, that's always been a problem, isn't it? The chosen people. Every religion thinks theirs is the right sort of way, don't they?
Well, I think all people think that we're right to some extent. I think part of the situation with people campaigning furiously just about Palestine, or potentially a few other causes that were mentioned, is that we want to think that we're really great and we're really noble, and so we want to just hate people who are in a different group so that we don't have to face the problems that we have with our own hearts and minds. And I think we see that pattern again and again. And people who are raging Israel, it's partly that it makes them feel better about themselves to blame all of the ills in the world on another group of people. And that's just, human nature that we want to do that.
But it's not right, is it? I mean, we've seen all the problems with the rape gangs and stuff from people with their ideological ways not looking into things that they should be. And doesn't that sort of make it evil in a way? Because they sort of know what's happening by ignoring what's going on.
Well, you say people know what's happening, but while that's not wrong entirely, I do think that to some extent people can believe things that they want to believe.
Exactly.
I think that to some extent we kind of we shut out things that we don't.
Confirmation bias. They only want to hear what agrees with what they think.
In reality, all situations are more complicated than black and white or left or right. Or, I mean, gender actually is binary, but other things aren't. And so I think that quite often we end up believing what our echo chamber is saying about something, and then we might not actually have very, very different values from a person on the other side, but we're living in a different reality. So you might think that all of the evil is from Israel or Farage or whatever, because to some extent you genuinely believe a different set of things from another person who might have some similar values, but they're believing another reality. So we end up arguing with each other all the time.
Yeah, it's almost like a hypnosis. Thanks, Grace. Yasmin the witch, the teenage witch. Hi, Yasmin. Yasmin?
Hi, Rash.
Where were you? You were a bit late there.
I know.
What's going on, man?
It's interesting, all the conversations you've had tonight, but I will say one thing. I feel as though Israel has done a massive amount of damage in Gaza and in the Middle East, and they attacked Iran first, remember.
What are you talking about, Willis? I mean, Iran have been threatening to build a nuclear missile. I mean, what should Israel just sit there?
Iran signed a treaty not to ever, and there was a fatwa saying not to have nuclear weapons. That's why Middle Eastern countries do not have nuclear weapons. They don't want to destroy what God created. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when you look at the situation in Gaza, I feel as though now they can say, right, we'll open all the border, get all the food in, and really help them.
All the food's in there, Yasmin. Don't fall for it all. The supermarkets were open while they were talking about there was a famine. There were takeaways open while they were saying there's a famine. How can you have a famine when you've got supermarkets full of fruit and veg?
98% of the Gaza Strip's been, 93% has been obliterated.
It's not true. It's not 93%. That's absolute rubbish. There's still buildings.
I've seen the app.
Well, at the end of the day, it's a war. You know, if Hamas want to declare war, if a country declares war, what they don't like being a war back at them, you know.
Can I explain something, please? Think of the Earth, right?
Yeah.
There's all those buildings destroyed. There's 800,000 tons of asbestos that's travelling through the sky all the time from there. And the thing is, it has decimated. People go on about global warming. There's not even an olive tree standing in Gaza. Everything's obliterated. What I'm trying to say is, Israel needs to pull back now And literally,
let Hamas rebuild, re-establish their...
Can I finish? Israel needs to pull back now, let the humanitarian aid in, let people see the softer side.
Hamas are in charge. You're not going to get aid in when Hamas are in charge, are they? You're living in a cloud cuckoo land.
40,000 people were in a mass. 40,000 people were in a mass. They have obliterated. Donald Trump said there's 1.7 million in Gaza, 1.7 from 2.3. He said it in front of Netanyahu.
Look, there's about 80,000 people died in the war there in Gaza. 55,000 were Hamas. There was about 12,000 natural wastage, and it's unbelievable. It's actually being studied by militaries on how they kept the innocent death toll so low to multiples below what we manage in Iran and Afghanistan, which was 3 or 5 to 1 with America and ourselves, and yet so now it's being studied because they can't believe how in such a tight urban warfare where they were using well, I'm finished, where they're using children as shields. They can't believe how few were killed.
Listen,
so that's the real story, not the stuff that you're reading on TikTok.
No, it was the UN.
Well, there you go. I mean, you think the UN are playing a straight back? You don't think they're in cahoots with Hamas?
The United Nations of the world.
Yeah. You believe the claptrap that the UN are all like a neutral organisation or not made up of mainly despots? I mean, Iran were running the human rights. These are people who hang raped women and gay people off cranes. Do you think it's all right for them to be in charge of the human rights at the UN?
I didn't know there were.
Well, you know, you need to look in the UN. It's totally corrupt. I mean, do you remember that guy said there's going to be 10,000 children dead within 48 hours, which was totally debunked. But all the media ran with it. They all ran with it, the BBC. They loved it.
But at the end of the day, did you see what they did to the people who were on the flotilla? Did you see that man's back that had all those bruises on? It was awful.
I don't know, but... I mean, you know, yeah. I mean, these flotillas, they don't even have food on. They just find drugs and condoms on board, and sometimes the doom goblin Greta Thunberg moaning about something, throwing their phones. They're so environmentally friendly. They chuck their lithium phones into the sea.
Israel went into international waters.
Yeah, but if you're coming to attack Israel, you can go out of, you know, you can attack outside. You don't have to just wait till they come in, if they come into you.
Attack Israel, they were just trying to get some food into Gaza.
Right, well, they're not really, are they? You know, they're not going to make any difference with their, like, chewing gum, drugs and condoms. They're not really, they're trying to get on telly.
Do you think Netanyahu will still have his premiership after the election or not?
If they're still at war, maybe. I mean, you know, he messed up at the start very badly, you know, ending with the horrendous events of October the 7th. There's a lot of comparisons with Churchill. You know, Churchill had a lot of mess-ups with Gallipoli, the Dardanelles, and then he came back, and there's a lot of similarities. You know, a lot of people disagree with Netanyahu. It's a democracy. There's a lot of people, you know, Bennett and other Israelis saying you shouldn't have done it like this and like that, but they've all got their own ways. And, you know, we'll see in the election. I think he might be out if the war's over, but unfortunately it doesn't. It's over technically, but Hamas is still in charge.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, what about the normal people that are being bombed at? It's not fair on the population. This is
that's Hamas, isn't it? That's their government.
Look, when
they need to run they need to run Gaza a bit better.
When you've only got 30% of the population agreeing with Israel, then there's big problems. They have to do it another way. They have to negotiate. They have to.
You can't. Sometimes you can't negotiate with nutters who have a sort of, you know, religious ideology. How are you going to negotiate with someone like that? You can't. Sometimes you can't. You couldn't negotiate with Adolf Hitler. You know, eventually you have to crack a few eggs to make an omelette.
Yeah, but when you say about you can't negotiate with these idiots, I thought you were talking about Netanyahu, because Israel looks at, to me anyway, like a terrorist state at the moment.
What's like a terrorist state?
Terrorist state, Israel. Because
they're a democracy.
International law.
No, they haven't. Nothing's happened. They haven't been. Nothing's happened. What's happened in international law?
Right. The first thing that happened was the they put phosphorus in bombs and bombed them. Phosphorus.
No, this has not come out in any court, so this is stuff you've read on your TikTok. Anyway, look, we've got to go, Yasmin. There's a lot of stuff, but you need to, you know, look at all the information and the proper information before you come to your decisions. Anyway, 0344 499 1000. I see Matt's here from our mystery department, so I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but you can bet it's mysterious. But give us a ring. You can ask me anything. Andre will be back in a minute. I don't know where he is. 0344 499 1000. Send us a voice message on that if you're a bit scared to come on, or you can text us 87222. Text the word talk and then your message, or just give us a ring 0344 499 1000. It's talk, and don't forget, after us it's Benedict Fletcher. He'll be in to talk about his show. It's talk. We'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, so the UF bros are not here this evening, but Matt is here. Matt Thornton. He's here on his own. Now, Matt normally doesn't talk. Now, as we've established, I get a chauffeur-driven car back home. So if Matt appears after his shift finishes on Friday night, he's entitled to get in the car with me. Very generous. So with that in mind, Matt, you've come up with a segment for the UF Bros. Tell us what it is.
Well, there's been a huge information dump from the Pentagon. They've released dozens and dozens and dozens of files. Massive dump. I mean, some of these files are hundreds of pages long.
And they slip little nuggets, they hide it in there for you to find.
Exactly,
and that's what you've done with your eagle eyes.
I've been watching the videos. I haven't read through the 116-page files yet, unfortunately.
And it is just 116 pages, is it?
No, as in some of them are 116 pages long.
So there's kind
some
of
that are
half a million.
Basically, you haven't tried hard.
Correct, exactly.
So tell us what you found out from just watching the videos.
I've watched the videos. They're pretty freaky. Have you seen any of them at all?
No, but go on, describe them, because we're on radio.
They are, so do you remember the ones that we saw last week?
The Tic-Tac ones and the military ones, yeah. And that sparkly one.
The sparkly ones.
That was like a snow crystal.
Yes, it was a little bit unclear, but there might have been something there.
I thought it was refraction of light.
Well, these ones are a lot clearer, and they are clearly like balls. There's balls that are moving around,
like spheres, not balls.
No, spheres.
Like plasma balls.
Orbs is perhaps the correct term. But orbs are floating around.
Because if it was floating balls, that would be very odd.
Correct.
But flying balls.
Flying balls. The theme of water is continued. They're checking out a lot of
these
ships.
are the theory that they might be us that are more advanced from the passengers said, right, let's get in the water and we'll just pop.
I'd probably say half of the videos, or maybe even more, are water-based in that it's a video of them sort of circling around a ship or floating over water or passing by like an oil rig or even some wind turbines. One passed by and various other.
So as you know, if you think about Einstein's theory of relativity, which no doubt you think about a lot,
of course.
You can time travel from the past to the future. That is simply a fact, and the reason is because gravity can bend time and all that sort of thing. So effectively, if you were to travel at the speed of light for, I think it's 5 years, and come back to Earth, so if you were to travel for 5 years there and 5 years back at the speed of light, 25 years would have passed on Earth, whereas for you, only 10 years would have passed. So, is it possible, and Asher was talking about this earlier, that there was an amazing advanced civilization on Earth that was destroyed by some folly, like a nuclear war or whatever, and there were people who've escaped, who have time travelled from the past, and are now trying to re-establish contact?
Well, there are all sorts of stories throughout history of various civilizations just going completely missing.
Anunnaki.
Atlantis, Anunnakus, all that stuff.
Who's Inaku?
What?
The Anunnakus.
No, go on. I don't know.
No, it's too. We'll have to do a whole week
It's
on
about,
that. I mean,
Nephilim
that's
and
like
all
the
that
people
stuff.
that run everything.
It's all these mythical creatures, not strictly relevant to the.
Jabulon rules.
But I mean, it might not be that they're time travelers. They might just have been very advanced humanoids that have said, "Let's get out of here and we can live."
They live underwater, and they're just visiting us every now and again.
People see them coming out in military base at San Diego.
But it's not just water. I mean, there's clips. There's various clips, and a lot of these are like 10 minutes long. So there's a lot of footage to go through. A lot of it is sort of slowed down.
So we get all of this. Anomalous things happen. Now, by the way, if you remember, Malcolm Mutteridge and the first ever television miracle, right? And the story is this: that Malcolm Mutteridge did a documentary for the BBC on the House of the Dying in Calcutta. Run by Mother Teresa of Calcutta, Agnes Boyartu, the Albanian nun. Basically, they filmed the House of the Dying, which didn't have very good light, with some new Kodak film. And they said, we just don't know whether we're going to get the footage. When they got back to the theatre and put the footage on, the Kodak film was of such good quality that you could see absolutely everything. And the producer said, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And he was about to say, "Well done, Kodak," until Michael Mutteridge said, "It's divine light. We have witnessed the first television miracle." And in the words of the late great late great Christopher Hitchin, "And a star was born" in Mother Teresa of Calcutta. And the reason
he hated her, didn't he?
The reason I make that point is that Mother Teresa of Calcutta became a global icon because the divine light. Actually, it was just a better quality of Kodak film. You know, how much of this is just anomalous stuff?
If you're watching, we're seeing some of these videos.
The videos that have been released today, I mean, this is the stuff that they did a few weeks. I mean, maybe this is some of the new stuff as well. And a lot of it looks like this.
But it's the latest stuff.
What's it's the latest.
Yeah, get it right, man. Look at that flying.
That probably is one of the new ones.
No, repeat after me. This is the latest stuff.
This is the latest stuff. This is the latest stuff.
That's a cube.
This is the latest stuff.
What's that cube that's flying across?
As in the black boxes.
That's the high.
Those will be things that they've cut out. But I think that picture is from, stuff like that is inconclusive. That could be anything.
So explain what that is.
So that picture, that's a still image, and various objects in the sky have been enlarged, but none of that.
I mean, what the hell's that?
That is unusual. Those are sort of three orbs that are clumped together. But actually, in the videos that they've released, there are a number of them where, are you familiar with Foo Fighters?
Yeah.
How it's
Nirvana.
They saw, of course, but the pilots in World War II, they saw, I think in San Francisco, but they saw various orbs.
They watched the Foo Fighters?
Yes, correct.
But now it's become so commonplace that pilots are just going, "Yeah, I saw one today."
Well, they also released some audio files of various, pilots and whatnot, sort of talking with the control about what they've seen.
But they're not even shocked now. They go, "Oh, I've got one over here."
From the audio, and I've not listened to all the audio. I've seen all the videos.
Of course,
but
you wouldn't have done all the
audio. But they, they sound shocked, in awe, and maybe a little bit scared as well. But there's a number of them.
A bit like the Rendlesham Forest tapes.
Yeah.
But what is right? So
the British Roswell.
Here's the bit that I don't understand. What is the security and military assessment of all this? Because if I was the Secretary of State for Defence, if I was the Chief of the General Staff, if I was the Prime Minister or indeed the King, and It's Malcolm Muggeridge, not Mutteridge, but anyway. I don't think that matters.
Malcolm Muggeridge.
But okay. But if I was these people, I would say, right, we've seen this stuff. What is it, and what threat does it present? Now, the answer to that has got to be something. What is the answer?
Well, just before you say that, I think the answer to that is they basically looking at these aliens going, they're far too advanced. They can basically have shut down battleships.
Yeah.
They know they wouldn't have a chance, basically, is that it?
But potentially, but also, I mean, in the footage, there's videos of these orbs flying next to planes as well, which obviously you don't want happening with civilian aircraft or whatever. But having said that, I would also add, humans have been claiming to interact with, orbs, spacemen, all these things for tens of thousands of years. I mean, some of the earliest drawings that we have from Aboriginals in Australia are, people...
The plains of Nazca in South America, Mexico, the drawings on the ground.
They look like they're wearing spacesuits.
Space masks and things, yeah.
Potentially this is the same thing as that, in which case you'd say, well, these guys have sort of existed alongside us for thousands of years, so it's potentially not the end of the world. But
are we living in a symbiosis?
Or maybe.
The other question is the Earth a zoo?
Maybe. But it could also be high-tech military technology that they are sort of drip-feeding us to normalise to us that we might accept it in the future. I don't know.
Are we in a simulation? I mean, a guy won the Nobel Peace Prize, not the Peace Prize, Science Prize, Physics Prize, proving that we live in a simulation.
Well, a number of the videos, the orbs really are moving around in ways that just
defy human technology.
When you read the interviews and hear the pilot saying, I've never seen anything move like this before. The footage that they've released, it's in black and white, it's in colour, you get various shots, it's stabilised. It's really weird to see.
I mean, if you look at the Bible, right, and you examine and read the Bible, there is no doubt that if God was a computer programmer, the creation story in the Bible could be true, right? If you were to take a sophisticated supercomputer and say, right, I want to create all the circumstances in the Bible. I want to create Adam and Eve. I want to create Genesis. I want to. All of that is perfectly possible. So for the first time in human history, whether you like it or not, and many religious folk would be offended by what I've just said, whether you like it or not, the Bible could definitely be true now. I'm not saying it is, but it could definitely be true.
I think what we might be seeing now would raise a huge amount of questions for various religions, but they also might be fine, because again, these guys, a lot of religions have said, oh, I've interacted with something from space or something from the heavens.
But the story of, as an example, dying and going to heaven, in a computer simulation could certainly exist.
SimCity.
There's no doubt about it.
And of course, there's a double slit experiment.
Yeah.
Do you know about that?
Yeah.
And this basically shows, like in a video game when you're travelling and the landscape pops up, they're saying that is what's actually happening with us. And that actually, it's only when you look at it that something pops up, and this double
consciousness creates reality.
Yeah, there's this thing, and when it's looked at by a human, you see the two slits, and when it's not, you don't. And it's basically reacting to just being seen, which proves we live in a simulation, like a video game.
I'm not sure it proves that.
It renders.
It shows that consciousness impacts reality.
Yes, it does actually prove that.
So if reality exists, then something has to perceive it.
By the way, anyone who is smoking cannabis is going to be enjoying this conversation. But
don't look at double slits. It'll make you go blind.
But here's the other point.
Yeah.
If this were quote unquote a simulation, to what extent does it become reality, and to what extent does it become a simulation, given that we're here experiencing it? So my comment would be, look, when you have the non-playable characters on a computer game, clearly they're not real. But to an extent, when you play a character on a computer game that's networked and it is another person controlling it, to an extent that character is real.
Correct.
In a sense.
Well, that character is being controlled by someone.
Yeah, so in that sense it's real.
When does it develop a consciousness?
Well,
that's the question.
But hang on, a computer game has a computer game character has a consciousness if the person playing it is if it's a playable character.
An NPC character doesn't have a
the person, but the character is merely an expression of the operator who's using it, right? So if you think about it, when you play a computer game, that thing is as real as your car, isn't it? Because one of them is a tool for a computer game, the other is a tool for driving around.
And
it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
like Mario Brothers.
I would say potentially everything is a simulation, but also reality clearly exists. The simulation exists. That's
settled then. Matt's decided. All you Nobel scientists, Matt's decided because he's watched the video.
If I throw a phone at you, that's a real experience.
How do you know it's not an imaginary?
But if I run you off the road on Network Super Mario, you experience being run off the road by your visual and audio experience.
That's a virtual experience.
You could get injured.
Well, maybe if I fell off the chair.
But hang on a second. If you're watching me or you're watching a computer screen, what difference does it make? I don't know. Question mark.
Does it make a difference?
Well, I'm watching you in real time right now. If I was at home watching you from YouTube, I wouldn't be able to have the same conversation with you that I am.
How do you know you're not watching a YouTube video now?
We've made this point multiple times, where I always say the sun always shines on TV, right? We are not actually in your car. We're not actually in your house. We're not actually sat in your lounge. However, what practical difference does it make? Right? In a sense,
they can't smell us.
In a sense, people who say they're sitting with Andre and Ash now in the car are not literally doing it, but in a sense they are. I remember somebody phoning up when Princess Diana died, and they said she was a part of my life, but you didn't know her. Well, what difference does that make? Because I saw her when she was 18, I watched her, I read about her every single day. The fact she didn't know me doesn't mean she's not a part of my life.
You would say she's not a part of your life, but you're a part of her life. But I mean, you'd obviously be, or she would be part of your life if you were interacting with her.
Yeah. So as an example, when somebody walks up to me, or walks up to him, or walks up to you in a shop, there is a reason for that because they know us. We don't know them, but they know us, right? And as long and actually they're always quite nice and whatever. But I find it, and I find this myself. If I see somebody that I watch on the TV in a pub, you can't help but go, I know that person.
You go up and say hello.
You say hello,
absolutely,
don't you, right?
Absolutely.
Obviously, everyone's the same. Nobody's going to go, oh, I don't care.
But I think that would be more proof of the reality, because it would show that that person is real, and what you see on your screen, whether it's a footballer that you like or your favourite presenter or whatever, that guy is playing the football, and then you might see him at the pub afterwards, and that's a real interaction that you can have.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're playing Grand Theft Auto, you can drive that car, but you're not actually driving a car.
But eventually it will get so real. Eventually it will get so real that you might. It's very weird.
I mean, I think it is a difficult thing, because no matter how much we say, us three are not in the van with the guy driving up the M6 at the moment. In fact, we are. Right, let's be realistic.
I agree with that.
In a sense,
your eyes on the road.
In a sense, we are. There's somebody now driving in a white van up the M6 going, bloody hell!
If there is, give us a ring. I can see you in a white van. It's one of those Iveco vans. You've got some nice dice, and I'm just getting this in my mind's eye. Anyway, we're going to take your calls. Thanks, Matt, for that. That was quite a lot of information you got from just watching a video and not doing any proper research.
All he literally did was watch.
It was actually better than ever, wasn't it? Well, no. I mean, Joe will be back next week with more mystery and... what's next week?
Hopefully have videos of these files and perhaps more files that we've dropped between now and then. They're going to keep the drip feed coming, I believe. So we'll see.
By the way, I think the driver's going to arrive early. I think you should take him in the green room. You don't have to buy him.
Where do you normally take him?
A's the driver and B's a Muslim.
0344 499 1000. We're going to take all your calls off this, starting with Kevin in Basingstoke, who's got a story about George Michael. Make sure you stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, this is interesting. This is really interesting.
What is this?
Mark from Hepburn has said the following. Now, I don't know if he's right, but this is interesting. Hi, guys. Have you noticed in the media about this heat wave, they're always giving the temperature in Fahrenheit? But on the weather, it's normally in Celsius, just to make it sound hotter. So they're saying, oh my God, it's going to be 100 degrees this weekend. The world is burning.
We're not Americans. We used to be like that when I was young. It used to be all about that. And I remember we changed to centigrade, in the 80s or something.
EU.
Now, it's funny, we're used to that now, and Celsius is a bit... Fahrenheit is a bit weird. Yeah, and also they made, the weather maps, they used to go orange and red. They've now lowered the threshold for where they go. So it's bright red. It's obviously it's a PSYOPs operation. It's starting to come out that this is all bunkum, this net zero. We live with much more CO2 concentration, multiples more than this. It's actually good for you. I think we need to look into this because it's ruined civilization over the last couple of decades.
My view is, it doesn't necessarily bother me about the fact that we have to deal with some issue of pollution. What bothers me is the way that we want to destroy our economy on this paganistic...
I mean, it's not even pollution. CO2 is not even pollution. Pollution's a bad thing, the poison and all that in the air, but CO2 is not
Somebody said to me, and a dude that was Hello Lois Perry, organised by Lois, he said, there's no such thing as pollution at all. All you're doing is moving one item that was taken out of the earth into another location.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought, all right, I wouldn't go that far.
And anyway, they're not really looking for carbon. They're not really looking for the answer any other way.
Let's go for Kevin in Basingstoke. Kevin, how are you?
You've got a George Michael story, apparently.
Well, it's not my story. I haven't met him on Handsome Heath or anything. But
Handsome Heath.
What is it called?
Hampstead.
Hampstead Heath.
I love the fact. Our audience.
He's pretending he doesn't know what it's called. We normally fell for that.
Our audience is so straight they don't know where the gay cottaging areas are.
Of course you don't know. Of course you don't know what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I remember watching morning TV, Good Morning Britain or something, and there was a woman on there, and she was saying that she'd had 3 courses of IVF. But they'd all failed, and she couldn't afford to, go for another one. And that same day, she got a call from the studio to say that somebody's donated some money for you to have another course.
I think that was on the Matt Wright programme, Matthew Wright, formerly of this parish.
Oh, was it?
I think I remember that beautiful story.
That one failed, so he paid for another one. She didn't know who it was. The second one was successful, and she had a little girl. And then George Michael wrote to her and sent her some flowers and said it was him.
Yeah, so I don't know if you overheard this earlier, Kevin, but I got told that all of those incidents where some businessman, quote unquote, would phone up and offer to donate the money. It was always George Michael. There was no other person that ever did it. And the reason why you don't see it on the TV anymore is because George Michael's dead. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's why I phoned in. And I remember...
Well, break it to me gently.
Capital Radio always used to do a fund sort of, raising money. And George used to double it.
Yeah. Well, do you remember when there was a rumour that Jill Dando had been killed by Serbian militia, and George Michael offered to take over?
Isn't it? There was a photo recently of a guy.
George Michael offered to take over. Which I thought was slightly... But it was because there was a rumour that nobody wanted to present it because they were being frightened by gangsters.
What, so George Michael would have done crime watch?
I would have loved that.
Imagine how he'd have started the show.
We're going to put you inside.
Do you remember that when he got arrested and he made fun of it? He did that great video.
Outside,
I
think I'm done with the sofa.
It was brilliant, wasn't he? And he
done with the whole.
He wrote the songs. He produced it. He did all the prancing around. He was quite.
Do you remember Andrew Ridgeley when George Michael died? Andrew Ridgeley said, "Look, I really think it's wrong to say former Wham star." He said, the reality is, he was George Michael, and he started off in Wham. He's not former Wham star, is he?
Yeah.
George used to give a lot of money to homeless charities and other charities, but when you've got so much money, why do people still want more and more? I mean, people with hundreds of billions,
I think
millions.
I think so. I think that's an interesting question. I think there is a slight difference. In the case of George Michael, it was pay. For a lot of people, it's their business, the value of their business. So if you look at somebody, say like Bill Gates, a lot of his wealth is related to the shares he owns in Microsoft, and so he doesn't want to sell Microsoft. Therefore, he keeps that portion of the money. What happened with George Michael, one would assume, is that every quarter he got a royalty check for, say, I don't know, 10, 20 million, and it was just cash in the bank.
Yeah, but a lot of these people must have a lot of money besides.
Oh yeah.
Well, from his career, from album sales, I mean.
Yeah, I actually couldn't live with myself if I knew I had so much I could never spend it, and it grows every year.
Well, I think being the classic thing about being a philanthropist is that you're going to get more pleasure out of building a hospital than you are leaving the money in the bank. And I think that is a sensible thing.
A lot of them do, don't they? You know, we've seen the Rockefeller and all that, all the very rich people, and sort of Bill Gates. We don't know really about his charity. Is it a tax?
No. Well, he's given away all of his money.
Yeah, but
I mean, what about the royal family? I mean, they take money from the taxpayer, but they don't need that money.
Very greedy.
The royal family is slightly odd in the following respect. The sovereign grant is for their work as members of the royal family, so they don't keep it. They spend it on expenses. Their personal wealth, and by the way, before Queen Victoria, the royal family had no personal wealth at all. It was only Queen Victoria that drew this delineation between what they got from the country and her own personal assets. So I think there is a debate about their level of wealth. Now remember, there was the big argument over the Mersey ferry because I think it's the Duchy of
Lancaster.
Lancaster owns all of the the bank side of Merseyside, and therefore you have to pay to go from Liverpool to the ferry over that little walkway, the little gangway, and that goes to King Prince Charles.
Well, if you die,
that Channel 4 documentary didn't, it painted them in a bad light, really. I mean, they was taking money from prisons, the military, ambulance service. I mean, why would you do that?
If you die intestate in the Greater Manchester area, the money goes to Prince Charles personally, and it is said it goes to royal buildings, but these can be his personal buildings that he rents to companies or even individuals to do up the roof. So he's benefiting personally from anyone who dies without a will in the Greater Manchester area.
I've got to say to you, what Asher said is completely correct. It's the whole of Lancashire, but that doesn't matter. Here is one thing that I think is really important. I think we need to change that law for the following reason. So if you die intestate, there's nobody to inherit and there's no will, then the money for most of you goes to the country, right? And we've all seen this TV show Air Hunters. If it happens in Lancashire, it goes to the King. Here is the big problem, really big problem. In the First and Second World War, soldiers that died in Lancashire who didn't have any family or a will, their wealth went to the King. Now, I'm not saying that the King did anything improper, but I think for the Commander-in-Chief to have a personal financial benefit in his own soldiers dying is not acceptable. I'm not saying anyone's behaved improperly. Clearly, they don't want people to die, and I don't want to smear the King, but I just think, as a matter of principle, it's not a good thing.
As a matter of principle, it shouldn't be going to him personally anyway.
Well, that's it, because they don't pay inheritance tax, but if you don't leave a will, the money goes to them. I mean, that's...
Well, I've got to be honest with you, I don't think any of us should pay inheritance tax. So the fact that some people get away with it is as far as I'm concerned, what the direction of travel should be.
Yeah, but it was those people that it was meant for, the super rich. It wasn't meant for your normal everyday people. It was meant for the very
let me tell you, inheritance tax is an optional tax. You don't have
but only
to
if you're very rich, because to afford the accounts that can get you out. The irony is, the richer you are, the less tax you pay. Anyway, thanks for that call, Kevin. That was a very interesting story he had about George Michael that he just read in a paper somewhere. We thought it was going to be a personal story.
I thought he'd been... Well, let's not tell you what
I thought that as well. And he pretended he didn't know what Hampstead Heath was. We didn't fall for it. We'll be back after this. Andre and Ash.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, it is Talk, and let's go to Amelia in Birmingham. Amelia, you're on Talk. Did that the fastest I've ever done it.
Amelia.
Come on, Amelia.
Amelia.
Come on, Amelia, we're at pace then.
Hi.
Hi, Amelia.
How's it going?
All right, how are you, Amelia?
I'm good, thank you.
What's that, man? Is that it?
No, I wanted to talk about the Makerfield by-elections.
Can we talk about that, really?
Yeah, we can.
Well, then now we've got to mention all the... Okay, go on. Away you go.
I just want to know, how likely is it, do you guys think, that Andy Burnham's going to win the by-election?
Yeah, I mean, are we allowed to... We've got to mention all the candidates now, which I'll get a list of.
The reality is Andy Burnham going to win the by-election? Can I be totally honest with you?
We're not in Purdy, are we?
We do not know who's going to win the by-election, and that's the interesting bit about it.
Yeah.
So just to remind everybody, Reform were polling ahead, 50% to 28%. They won all 8 wards in the local government elections of a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. But Andy Burnham is a popular figure, and Salvation are saying that he gets 20 points as a personal vote. Now, most MP will get a personal vote like 3,000, not 20%.
But Starmer's going down to help him. I mean, is it going to help him?
No.
I mean, Starmer stopped him standing in the seat last time because he was a good chance. I think he's let him stand in this because he thinks he might not have a chance, and he's visiting him.
There's a conspiracy theory that they're deliberately talking about the EU in order to do Burnham over.
Yeah.
Because as they say, there's an old Labour joke. A Corbynite, a Bevanite, and a Blurite all walk into the bar, and the barman says, "Andy Burnham, what do you want for a drink?" Hey, it's sparkling comedy.
Additional to say, guys.
What?
I've just got something additional to say, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Amelia, yeah.
On X is this pretty cool account. It's called Britain's Rights, capital B _ rights.
Okay.
And it's pretty cool to follow. It does politics and news and stuff
Well,
like
no,
you
but
guys.
you just listen to us.
Right,
Don't bother with any of
Britain's Rights. Let's have a look.
Britain's right. We just hold on, Amelia. Yeah, we
Right,
don't
by
want
the
an
way,
extreme.
if it's mad, we're going to call it out right now. How do you do an underscore?
It's button shift hyphen.
Britain's Rights.
Bear with us, please.
Right, here we go. This is brilliant radio, isn't it? Britain's Rights. Here we go. I'm a proud British patriot who showcased what's happening to our great country. I'm honoured.
He's only got 3,500.
King of the North just got parachuted. I love that. The King of the North just got parachuted into his throne. That's a good line. That's a good line. But the Red Wall peasants are revolting. Yeah, all right. I'll give that a follow.
What's going on in Birmingham, by the way, Amelia? Is there still bin strikes and all that? How's it running?
Yeah, there's still bin strikes just because the Labour government are not doing a good job, and they keep saying, "Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that."
You've got a new council, haven't you? Isn't it now right? Haven't you got a Tory or Reform council now? Or is it not?
I think it's Reform, you know.
Yeah, so maybe they will. I mean, have you seen the bit? What area are you in Birmingham?
Just up north of Birmingham.
What, like Walsall?
Yeah, there.
Labour is in. It's no overall control. No party reached the 51 seats, so we don't know who's going to run Birmingham.
Also, of course,
but one would assume what will happen in Birmingham is it'll be run for the purposes of the campaign in Gaza.
Yeah,
so that's what
that is pretty much. I've also, of course, you got Rupert Lowe, and it might be taking Reform's lunch. It's no one knows what's going to happen. But whatever you do, make sure you go out and use your enfranchisement.
There is one thing, and Maurice Lord Glassman said this. Every single by-election is described as a really important, the most important by-election. This is the most important.
This is like a general election.
This is the most important by-election. The people of Makerfield who are going to decide who the next Prime Minister is. Sorry, they're not going to decide who the next Prime Minister is. They're going to choose whether it's Andy Burnham or someone else.
But what's your view on Starmer going? Because this is a guy who's going to take Starmer's job. What do you think he's doing? He's doing it to make Burnham...
My advice to Keir Starmer is do not get off the train at Wigan Northwestern unless you've got an armoured personnel
we all know the words to the song, don't we? To Keir Starmer's personal song. Anyway, enough about all that. Thanks, Amelia. You know we've got who's coming up after us as Talk Sport and Talk Radio, Talk TV, Talk become as one together through the night.
He is a
with
beautiful
Benedict
man.
Fletcher with his beautiful. He's got a beautiful shirt on as well.
I'm sorry, Hull versus Middlesbrough. Come on.
It's not very glamorous, is it, in the Championship playoff
But it's a lot of money.
Huge amount of money. The richest game in world football,
$250 million, isn't it, or something?
Yeah, about that. £200 million, just shy of a quarter.
What are you going to be talking about, first of all, sports?
No, stop. My mate's the assistant.
Oh, he's his mate.
My mate's the assistant manager. Are Hull going to win?
I think Middlesbrough are going to win.
Oh, no,
I think they're going to be fueled by the injustice.
Yeah, but that's good, because he's always wrong. It's always kiss of death.
I might have just given Borough the kiss of death. Sorry about that.
But isn't that going to be a weird thing, that Middlesbrough end up going up?
Well...
They've been up before. Remember Ravanelli?
No, it's just the circumstances because of Southampton's disqualification.
I think a lot of people... I mean, we spoke last week, didn't we, about Spygate.
Well, here was what was interesting. What you said was Southampton will be incredibly keen to just pay 50 million quid. Yeah. And actually, that was why the English Football League made the decision they made.
I think they had
because they were listening to the show.
The analysis that Ben Fletcher made last week, for those who weren't listening at the time, was that after Leeds did a similar thing on spying and got a financial penalty, the feeling is that now people will do it and just pay the penalty. Yeah. The English Football League were clearly wise to that issue, and that's why they threw him out.
And it was multiple occurrences. It wasn't just one.
Missed the
points deductions and things like this, that's what really hurts more than financial.
And being banned from the playoffs. I mean, Southampton were in the playoff final and booted out.
That's horrendous.
So, I mean, sponsors could walk away. There's talk that the players could be suing their own club potentially for loss of earnings.
Out, even though he's done a great job.
Yeah, well, has he though? Because if he's proven to be,
but he's been a good manager, hasn't he?
Apart from
all the alleged cheating.
That's interesting. If you broke the terms and conditions of the English Football League and the result was I don't become a Premier League player, then you, under certain circumstances, would owe me the pay.
I think it's difficult to prove that they would definitely get promoted.
What court would it be in the Sports Arbitration Court? Would it be the High Court?
I wouldn't know that.
Well, but you could sue them for breach of contract because at the end, if you think about it, if as an example, you said something on this radio show now that had talk shut down by Ofcom, there are circumstances under which I could sue you for my loss of earnings. Now, that's not in our internal disciplinary hearings. That's you and me in the court.
So it could be in a contract that you're not responsible.
But it's more for Southampton, if they've got reached playoff final in their contracts, for example, well, they have been denied the chance to reach the playoff final. So that is
the bonus, the pay bonus.
The pay bonus.
They would get.
Promotion's a little bit more, it's not guaranteed.
How would you know? Yeah.
Well, exactly. But it's a very, very interesting
But sometimes the court will say, look, experts say there was a 30% chance of you winning, therefore 70% you don't owe, but you owe the 30%. And also it'd be difficult to know how much you'd renegotiate the value of the contract. Yeah. But I think Southampton have got real problems. Of course they'll just spend the way out of it, won't they?
Well, I don't know if they will, because now they're the club that cheated ultimately. They've been booted out the playoffs. Players are going to be potentially walking away. The manager's going to get sacked. The sponsors, are they going to want to be associated with the club that does that? There's a lot of problems down on the south coast.
I used to know a football agent, and what it says in the contracts, things like this, like if you're a sub, if you're brought on with 10 minutes to go, you don't get a bonus like 50 grand if you brought in before. That's why they bring on players at 80 minutes. Yeah. And another thing, for big players like Messi or big, they give them if you wave to the crowd when you come out, it's a 50 grand bonus. So a lot of them will be waving to acknowledge the crowd. You get 50 grand.
Is that why you wave at the
Messi
end of the show?
Each time?
Yeah.
I get
50p bonus.
A can of Coke. I get a can of Coke bonus.
Bite of your kebab and the bus fare home.
What are you talking about? Villa, great parade.
Great
but we've
week,
got to think about the next.
Up the Villa, absolutely.
Villa
Loads
up
of